All right, board members, next item on the agenda, style before the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy in the matter of Laura Harris, PD 11323. Case numbers 2025-012. Would council be so kind as to identify themselves for the record?
Andrea Brock on behalf of Dr. Laura Harris.
Thank you.
Ashley Vales, General Counsel for the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy.
I'm going to take judicial notice of both the statutes and the rules that are governing this hearing. Arkansas Code Annotated Section 17-92-101 at sequence, as well as the Arkansas Administrative Procedures Act. And for the record, my name is Charlie Moulton. I'll be acting as the hearing officer for this hearing this afternoon. I've got a number of exhibits. Ms. Brock, do I need to give an explanation to your client about how the administrative process works, or would that be redundant? You can just push that button down and keep it green.
I do not think so. Since
All
we
right.
were here before, I don't think that's necessary, but
And
thank you.
You were here previously, I think. Maybe sat through one of them already or no? Okay. Well, if you do have any questions or you have an issue, ma'am, nudge Ms. Brock. She'll get my attention. We want to make certain we're all on the same page, okay? And it's going to be really important as we go through this to give a verbal response to any question you're asked. And if you do have a habit of giving an or nod of the head, I may stop and remind you. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to get a good record, okay? And you can hold that button down. Yeah, they're tricky. Yeah, you got it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, I've got a number of exhibits already in front of me. They're exhibits 1 through 7. Is that right, Ms. Vales? I'm not missing anything, am I?
There is an 8th exhibit, which consists of a phone call, but as far as documents, there's 1 through 7, and then the 8th is the phone call, and I would move to admit those into evidence.
Ms. Brock, do you have any objection to the admissions of exhibits 1 through 8?
No, the only caveat I would state on the record, as I did previously, there is I believe it is Exhibit 6. I might be looking at that wrong. There is a table that was prepared, or a chart that was prepared, I believe by the investigator, and there's no objection to it coming in, but that does not mean that we agree with the content.
Okay, and that's fine. Certainly you can get your concerns or disagreements with that exhibit via cross-examination.
Yes.
All right, with that, exhibits 1 through 8 are admitted. Ms. Buck, did you bring any exhibits yourself with you this afternoon?
I did, and I believe that those are already on this iPad for everyone. And I also have a paper copy for court reporter and hearing officer, I believe is required. And those are, for the record, since they're not numbered on the iPad, I went ahead and numbered those 1 through 6. And do you want me to call those out?
You don't have to.
Okay.
Unless you certainly want to. I'll ask. Ms. Vales, any objection to the admission of respondents exhibit 1 through 6?
None.
All right. Without objection, 1 through 6 are admitted. And I'm certain you'll be able to just give an explanation as you go through your examination, both for your witness as well as staff's witnesses. How many witnesses do you have? Just one, Ms. Vales?
2.
You have 2. All right. This is for the board, Ms. Buck? Is this for the board?
That's for you.
I was
Okay.
instructed to bring 2 paper copies.
Okay, all right.
And the
I wasn't
boards are on
certain.
the tablet.
But I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and pass them down regardless. All right. You have 2, Ms. Brock, you have 1 witness, is that right? Your client?
Yes.
Okay. All right, why don't we go ahead? We'll just swear in the witnesses. Is everyone present in terms of witnesses?
There's no second witness.
Okay. Folks, would you be so kind as to raise your right hands? You don't have to stand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you. Thanks to all 3 of you. Opening statements, Ms.
I'll
Vance?
waive opening.
Ms. Broxton, she's waving. I'm going to ask you to do the same. Of course, if you feel compelled, go ahead and give one, but I'm always going to give you an opportunity to do a close.
Sure, I will waive opening
Thank
as
you,
well.
ma'am. All right, how about calling your first witness, Ms. Vales?
Call Dr. Lindsay Tankersley. Dr. Tankersley, state your name and your job title here at the Board of Pharmacy.
My name is Lindsay Tankersley. I'm an inspector investigator here at the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy.
And as part of your duties as an inspector for the Board of Pharmacy, did you have reason to conduct an investigation on Dr. Laura Harris and I guess Price Harris Pharmacy?
I did. They were simply due for an inspection, so it was a timely inspection.
And we'll get into it, but and as a result of the regular inspection, you saw some things that concerned you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's talk about, but generally tell the board how you got to a situation where you feel like the investigation was warranted.
Yes, ma'am. So on January 31st of this year, whilst conducting a routine inspection at Price Harris Pharmacy, as I was closing, one of the final things I do is just kind of do a final check through the refrigerator. Everything else on the inspection had been clean and good. And I happened to open up the produce drawer on the bottom of a very clean fridge and find a 5 milliliter unmarked vial of clear liquid with some Post-it notes to the right of it indicating dosage per milliliter if you were to be giving different strengths of this unknown medication.
And let me ask you this, Exhibit 3, can you identify what that is for the board?
So Exhibit 3 in our exhibits would be that vial is there on the left of the drawer, unmarked, unlabeled with clear liquid. And the pieces of paper to the right would be that dosing per milliliter, which seemed to me to be an instruction to be used with that vial.
All right, and board members, if you haven't found that on your tablet, let me know, but our exhibits are in the top there. Okay, and so once you saw what we see in Exhibit 3, what did you do next?
So myself being familiar as a pharmacist with medications, I immediately recognized these strengths as Mounjaro dosing strengths. Mounjaro coming in a pre-filled pen type administration device normally. So when I saw it, my first thing in inspection is to ask the pharmacist there, who also happened to be the pick and the owner, what's this? You know, what is this? What should I make of this? And the response to me was, oh, that was mine. It should have been thrown out a long time ago. For a while there, we couldn't get my strength of that medication. So doctor prescribed me a higher dose. And I said, so am I to understand that you then took your prescription and emptied it into a vial and then dosed out of it? And the indication was, yes, that is what was being done. I said, well, it's your prescription. Once you pay for it, I don't have any jurisdiction over what you do with it. I don't understand why it's in the pharmacy. But just for clarity's sake, can you show me your prescriptions for those, pens that were prescribed to you?
And what did you discover at that point?
So whenever we went to the computer, which the pharmacy at that time was using Pioneer, which you can pull up the prescription numbers. Are we okay to talk about the exhibit?
Yeah, and let's refer to Exhibit 5 and just tell the board
So upon
what that is.
discovering the different Mounjaro prescriptions that had been filled for Dr. Harris, I delved into each of those individually to ascertain whether or not there was a prescription, kind of what was going on with it. It seemed out of place. So with each one in Exhibit 5, there's 2 pages to each prescription. The first page would indicate the times that prescription number was filled. If you're not familiar with Pioneer, the status, which is in the middle of the page would show completed, which means that that sale has been completed, prescription has been sold, prescription has been dispensed. So the first prescription we see dispensed 4 times. The second page, also related to that prescription number, is tabbed to where there would be a prescription image, had there been an image. You see here a blank image. No image was found for that one. Then the third page in Exhibit 5 would be the second prescription number. If you note here, the 4 bottom ones show completed, and that would be completed, dispensed for 4 times on that prescription number. If you go to the second page there, it is also on the image tab, which is also void of said prescription image. Third prescription number for Mounjaro that was filled. You'll also see 4 completed prescriptions. And when you get to the image there, there is a valid e-prescription for that one. I will note here, though, are you all where you can see the e-script? Are we all on the same page there? So this prescription that was e-scribed over to the pharmacy to be filled was sent and received and written on 5/4/23. If you flip back to the page prior, when those prescriptions were filled, they were filled on 1/5/23, 3/16/23, 4/8/23, and 5/1/2023. All 4 dates that occurred before the writing of that prescription.
All right, a couple of questions about Exhibit 5. Exhibit 5 is information pulled from the profile. Is that correct?
Exhibit 5, yes, that would be pulled from Dr. Harris's personal profile there at the pharmacy
And
where
the-
she filled her
And the full
prescriptions.
profile is Exhibit 4.
Yes, the full profile is Exhibit 4.
Okay, and can you talk a little bit about, for the record, why there's no corresponding images on most of these except for that last one?
So you would expect to see an image in a Pioneer system had a prescription, number 1, been brought in as a hard copy, scanned in, and you would see that image. Number 2, if it were e-scribed over like the one that we see. Or number 3, with this, the argument can be made that a verbal prescription could be reduced to writing by simply typing it in to Pioneer. And while that would not be best practice of record keeping, it could happen. So the absence of an image there does not necessarily indicate, but it does indicate to me to look further there.
Mhm. And so we do have an image of the prescription from May of 23, correct?
Yes.
And tell me again the date of that prescription.
So it was sent to the pharmacy and received on the pharmacy May 4th of 2023.
Okay, but if I understand your testimony, it shows some fills from earlier than that. Is that right?
It shows 4 fills from January, March, April, and earlier in May, respectively, of same year.
Does that raise concerns for you?
Absolutely. A prescription cannot be filled before it is written.
And is that what it appeared like to you when you reviewed this?
It appeared to me that the e-script was sent over after the fact.
All right, let's turn to Exhibit 6. And this is a document that you used as part of your analysis of the documentation from the pharmacy, correct?
Yes, this is simply me taking the completed prescriptions from the profile, and just inserting them into a spreadsheet to extrapolate some dates.
Okay, so explain to the board exactly what we're looking at with regard to the fill dates.
So the first 3 prescriptions that we have looked at, the first 2 have written dates of 1/1/23 and 1/5/23 respectively, so 4 days apart. And then the third written date, as we've gone over, is May 4th of 2023.
So how many times total was that Mounjaro filled during the time frame that you were looking at?
So the time period of 1/1/23 to 5/1/23, the Mounjaro was filled in 2 different strengths. 12 times for a total of a 336-day supply.
And did that cause you concern?
Absolutely, on multiple levels. A doctor prescribing two within a day of each other. Granted, they're different strengths. There may have been a dosage change, but that would definitely be a duplication of therapy and a high alert for a pharmacist to fill for themselves or anyone else.
So is it a fair statement to say, when you look at Exhibit 6 and all the records from the pharmacy, that basically this Mounjaro was filled a year's supply for within 5 months?
A year's supply within 4 months, to be correct.
4 months, okay. All right, and so once you reviewed all of this, and at least initially, did you have any discussions with Dr. Harris about this?
So of course, like I say, when I'm in an inspection, I always try to give the benefit of doubt. You know, when I'm in an inspection, I want to be upfront, honest. If I discover a problem, I say, hey, this is what I'm looking at. Please prove me wrong. Tell me where I'm not thinking correctly, or explain this further to me. And acknowledging the fact that a verbal could be reduced to writing simply by typing it into Pioneer system. I said, has there been any communication that you could show me with Dr. Meredith that authorized these prescriptions, anything like that? At this point, Dr. Harris was not at all standoffish, but was quite closed off, stating, well, we've had texts back and forth and it's a small town. I've worked with them forever, you know, things of that nature. I said, great, all good. Can you show me something? And nothing could be produced to me at that time. And then from that, there was really nothing else to ask or gather other than I quarantined the medication in a red bag and asked that it not be moved or displaced until said hearing would occur, if would occur.
And so then after you go back to office, and you sort of analyzed all of this and completed Exhibit 6 and sort of had in your mind what may have occurred here, what did you do next?
So in order to dispel whether or not Dr. Meredith had actually authorized the prescriptions, I said, let me just call the source. So I called, I located the phone number found on the eScript and the other prescriptions in the profile for these prescriptions and called that number to ascertain with Dr. Meredith if he had in fact authorized those prescriptions.
All right, and I'm going to ask to play that phone call right now. It does contain some PHI. So I'm going to ask that we pause the live stream, at least till we conclude the phone call. All right, so Dr. Tankersley, did that phone call, is that your recollection of the conversation you had with Dr. Meredith?
It is.
And based on that phone call, did you prepare an affidavit for Dr. Meredith?
Yes.
And the information you put in the affidavit is pulled from the records and also the information he gave you in the conversation. Is that a fair statement?
It is.
Okay, so let's go over, just break down this affidavit for the board. Can you tell me basically what Dr. Meredith is saying in this affidavit that he signed?
Yes. So the first would be in verifying that he is in fact Dr. James Meredith. The second would be the establishment of the relationship with the patient, Laura Harris. Third would be identification of said patient, Laura Harris, and her date of birth. And then the fourth item says, I did not authorize the filling of the following prescriptions dispensed to Laura Harris on the dates below. And then 1, 2, and 3 are the 3 prescriptions that were dispensed to the patient and the dates that they were dispensed. So to be signing this statement would be to say, I did not authorize the filling on those dates.
All right. So let's go over, in your experience, you're very familiar with the Mounjaro billing and billing of those types of drugs. Is that a fair statement?
So before my time at the board, I did specialty pharmacy, which Mounjaro is and Wegovy are not necessarily specialty drugs, but they do have some more complicated billing schemes, especially when they first come out on the market. Being in specialty, we would often go all the way to tertiary billing in order to get high cost meds, specialty meds paid for. So my store, we ended up kind of being the repository for people with Mounjaro and Wegovy scripts when they first came out because we knew how to process the discount cards.
And so when you looked at the records from Price Harris with regard to Dr. Harris's Mounjaro prescriptions, was there anything regarding how those were billed that caused you concern?
There was, so each line item that shows a completed prescription was duly billed first to patient's primary insurance, second to the Mounjaro savings card. Do you want me to explain how that card kind of?
Yeah, explain how that card worked back in 2023.
And this is timely for me because I came to the board December of 23. So in January through May of 2023, I was doing this for patients of mine. So the Mounjaro,
Hard push. There you go.
Well, it turned green after, and I have to, sorry.
No, you're good.
My objection would be unless there is lack of foundation to show that she has knowledge of this savings card rather than speculation based on one that she previously used when she was in practice before she worked for the board. There's no foundation that she has any knowledge of how this was done.
Ms. Fields, can you,
I can lay a foundation if you
Objection.
give me a little
okay,
leeway.
I'm gonna go ahead and sustain the objection. If you could lay a foundation, please.
All right, so Dr. Tankersley, back in 2023, was there a savings card for Mounjaro?
there's one savings card for Mounjaro issued by the manufacturer of Mounjaro.
So at that time, there was only one way to utilize the savings card. Is that correct?
Well, it'd be more than one way to utilize it, but all in the same process. Yes.
Okay. So tell the board your knowledge of how Dr. Harris, based on the records, use the savings card.
So the Mounjaro savings card that was in place in 2023 had a dual function. The first function acting as what you call a bridge card, The second function acting as what you call a copay card. So with many drugs that we did at specialty that require prior authorizations that take sometimes months to gather, medications and their manufacturers will provide a savings cards such as this one that Mounjaro did that allows for a patient to fill that medication, begin therapy, and bridge their way through that prior authorization. Once that prior authorization is completed, the copay card, the bridge card switches to a copay card, and then it covers part of the patient's deductible and usually results in a nice, clean, in this instance, $25 copayment. With Mounjaro at the time, the copay card allowed for 6 bridged fills, each with a copay of $25 after a rejection from the primary insurance. So it would have to be billed on the primary insurance. You would get a rejection, usually for a PA. And then it was assumed that PA was being worked, and then it would convert into a copay card.
So we didn't have any PAs working at the time of some of these prescriptions. Is that correct?
I can't speak to whether or not there were PAs working during that time, but I can say that it would allow for 6 months of bridge fills, which is a longer period of time than this was dispensed in. And many people took advantage of the copay card as a bridge card and simply got 6 fills for $25, lost the weight they needed, my patients, and then got off the medication.
So in 2023, to be eligible for this, did you have to have a diabetes diagnosis?
So that was something that was somewhat ambiguous when the first cards came out. If you read the very clear print on the back, which I, of course, did, it said that you must have a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes in order to utilize that savings card. I, in turn, reported that up the chain with Walgreens. A month later, Walgreens sent out notification that if you don't document that it's type 2 on that prescription, that's you, and a pharmacist would be disciplined for it because it would result in a chargeback.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add with regard to any of these exhibits that we've gone over?
So just to kind of lay the foundation more for that, if you look, just say Exhibit 5, the first prescriptions that say completed. If you see pay method, you'll see the patient's primary insurance, and then the secondary pay method, you'll see Mounjaro savings card. And then in the end, you will see there's a $25 copay on all of them, which is in the beginning. It's the 4th line from the left. So it's obvious with a drug that is, if you see the price of the drug further on the right column is $1,022 to get that down to a $25 copay. That's obviously the copay card was used. And that all of the ones that say completed follow that payment logic.
All right. So let's move
Want
on.
to say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Objection if there's no question on the flour. She doesn't
Having
get to
mentioned
ask her own
previous statements.
questions.
I think I cut her off is what happened there.
Well, there was a big pause there.
I can back it off.
Okay.
No problem. Let's move on. And you had reason to, once we got Dr. Harris's exhibits, did you review those as well?
I did.
And just for the record, we have medical records. We have letters of recommendation. We have another information from Dr. Meredith. Let's just start with the medical records. When you reviewed those, did anything stand out for you that relates to your investigation?
So a few things stood out to me. It's quite a large stack of medical records. Number one, I believe these are my chart records. They look familiar to me from when I processed PAs. On the beginning of the pages, let's see if I can find
Like mine's kind of more in here, if that helps.
and they're on here, correct?
Mm-hmm. That might be harder, but yeah, they are.
That's the first page. Okay, so on the first page of Respondent Harris Medical Records, the left side shows you current medications. On this page, which was an encounter from 4/23 of 2024, the medical records span months of time. Mounjaro is never listed as an active medication. It is, however, listed as a medication that is not being taken. Let me find a good example of that.
What date was that? I'm sorry.
So that one was, that was 4/23.
Of 2024.
Yes. And to be clear, this medical record is every piece of paper that would be included in a my chart. So forgive me for taking a second to look through. So also, if we look at 10/30 of 2023, which is within the time period of prescribing of these medications, there is, what page is that?
And 20.
10/30 of
Oh,
2023.
10:30. Well, that is, page 5 of 99 on the tablet.
5 of 99 on the tablet. On the left there is a list of current medications. Mounjaro is not included in that list. There is a list of medications not taking. Mounjaro is included in that list. So as of the time that the fourth prescription that was not filled, but was written and not verified by Dr. Meredith, written December of 2023, 2 months prior during a visit, she was not taking that medication per her med record. Then five, four.
Okay, that's a 11 of 99.
Page 11 of 99, the encounter of 5/4/23, which would have also been the written date of a prescription. Taking medications, Mounjaro is not included there. Not taking, it's not included there either. So it's not on our record at all. Moving back.
And those may be easier to read on paper copy.
And this is all the same exhibit number? You're just paging back? Okay,
It's, yeah, it's, Dr. Mack has those exhibits.
okay.
And the rest of the medical chart, the next record is from 7 of 2022, which is beyond the scope of this. And then the rest is just a bunch of labs and things like that. So the main takeaways from it to me is that it never shows Mounjaro being prescribed by Dr. Meredith in any of his notes. And Mounjaro is never listed as a current medication that is being taken.
And did you see any diagnosis of diabetes in the medical records?
None.
Okay. All right, so let me refer you to Dr. Meredith's amended supplemental affidavit. And it is on the tablet, Respondent Harris Exhibit 2B. Page 5. Did you review this document for preparation of this hearing?
Yes, I did.
And does this document, what does this document mean to you as far as what you discovered in your investigation? Is it contradict what you found?
So the amended and supplemental affidavit of Dr. James Meredith says precisely what he signed to on my affidavit. I find no change.
Okay, And is that due to what you read there in that third paragraph there?
Yes,
Because he does say that he wrote an e-script on 5/4/2023.
right. He says, I did write the e-script on 5/4/23. The affidavit that he signed does not say he did not write the e-script on 5/4/23. It says he did not authorize the fills of that prescription months before it was written.
Okay, and the next line of that says, I didn't previously notice the error in the affidavit. Do you find an error in the first affidavit?
The only error, to be honest, is that Dr. Meredith signed 2024 after his signature. But as far as any other
Like the
error,
Facts?
no,
Okay.
no error of fact.
All right, and then let's also look at the respondents exhibit 2C. What do those appear to you to be?
Y'all, yours have a different number than what is in the record for that.
What, okay,
It is, are you referencing my
the
exhibit two?
text, yeah,
That's my exhibit 4.
okay. So I think on the tablet, it's 2C and it's respondents exhibit number 4 for the record. And did you review that when it was presented in preparation of the hearing?
I did review those text messages.
And anything about these text messages cause you any concern?
A few things. It states the name of the contact is Dr. Meredith, but it has a picture of an attractive blonde woman as the contact info. So that is confounding to me. It also says new contact name. You know, iPhones like to try to rename your people based on phone numbers and previous history. New contact suggested name Kathy Meredith and asks if it wants to update to that. So it made me wonder if this was truly Dr. Meredith or Dr. Meredith's wife, Kathy Meredith, also the notary on his affidavit.
Okay, and of these text messages, are there any in particular that cause you concern?
So to the case at hand, none, because none of them reference Dr. Harris or her relationship with the prescriber at all. I was looking for it for, yeah, you can fill Adderall. I mean, you can fill Mounjaro 7.5, sure, as a verbal type of writing. Did not find any of those, but did find some other text messages that did cause concern. So with this being not being certain who this person is, on page 5 of the text messages, on Thursday, September 12th at 2:35, it states a patient, which we've blanked, needs his Vyvanse filled, but can you change it to generic Adderall XR10? I don't keep that Vyvanse for anyone and he doesn't care. The answer is sure. If that is not coming directly from the prescriber, and it is in fact coming from Kathy Meredith, even acting as Dr. Meredith's agent, communications for changes on C2s cannot occur that way. So I saw that as a violation, a DEA violation.
And Vyvanse is a C2.
Yes, Vyvanse is a Schedule II medication.
Okay. And anything else curious about any of these correspondence?
Then again, on page 6, there's a picture there, which is not of any incident to me, but the dialogue that follows that picture, after having talked to Dr. James Meredith, the dialogue doesn't appear to be something he would say.
Objection, that is speculation.
He's already answered the question, but
Okay.
I'm going to overrule it because it's already out of her mouth. All right, please proceed.
So in your experience as a pharmacist, would this be a correspondence that you would have with one of your prescribers?
My experience as a pharmacist, I worked for a corporation, so I didn't have any contact via text with prescribers. It may be a method of communication for independent pharmacists in small towns, granted, 100%. but never in an unprofessional manner.
And this particular correspondence, we don't know if this is actually the doctor or his wife,
We
correct?
don't know who it is,
Don't know who it is. Okay,
other than the identification of the picture at the top.
okay. So did you make any conclusions at the close of your investigation about what was going on with this Mounjaro? You didn't get really an explanation from Dr. Harris, but what, do you have any explanation about how this happened?
So with the lack of any images present in the profile for these prescriptions that were filled, with the lack of any confirmation from Dr. James Meredith that he authorized those prescriptions in their respective fills, absent any information given to us in the health record that would lend itself to her being prescribed Mounjaro at any time, and finally, absent any indication in the text messages provided by Dr. Harris of any relationship of prescribing of Mounjaro from Dr. Meredith, the only conclusion I can arise at is that they're fraudulently written prescriptions.
Thank you for your testimony. Pass the witness.
Thank you, Ms. Vales. Ms. Brock?
Ms. Vales, are you an attorney? I mean, not Ms. Vales, Miss, I'm looking at you and saying her name. And I keep getting your name mixed up with
Dr. Tankersley.
Tankersley with the Kirtley. There's lots of Lees over here and I'm trying to get them straight. Ms. Tankersley, are you an attorney?
I am.
Okay. And so, did you, when you prepared that affidavit for Dr. Meredith, did you explain to him that he could have the opportunity to have that reviewed by another attorney?
Not my job to counsel him in that manner.
It's just yes or no.
No,
And did you explain, any of that or give him legal advice on whether he should sign that?
absolutely not.
As an inspector and investigator, would you agree that the safety of the public and patients of the pharmacy would be your main concern?
No,
What is?
would be the safety of any patient to which a prescription is dispensed.
Okay, so here to Dr. Laura Harris.
Yes,
Have you been concerned with her safety or with her well-being?
yes,
Did you investigate whether or not she suffered any harm?
no,
Did you know Dr. Harris prior to this investigation?
no,
Are you aware that in connection with the investigation or the inspection, sorry, from January, was it 5th or 31st of 2025, that Dr. Harris was actually the pharmacy in charge and pharmacist in charge and was present during that inspection, correct?
yes,
And it was a clean inspection.
despite this glaringly unclean item.
I'm just asking you a yes or no question. It was a clean inspection, wasn't it?
No,
Well, let's look at you said that. Maybe I misunderstood. Your testimony was that it
I
was a
said
clean.
clean despite.
It was a clean inspection from January 31st. And you have Dr. Harris as the pharmacist on duty, correct?
Mhm.
You have to say yes.
Yes,
And you didn't cite the pharmacy for anything related to that Mounjaro,
I
correct?
did if you read the comments.
Okay, I'm looking. When you said clean, what was the result to the pharmacy then?
It was a passing inspection.
Okay,
Passing inspection does not mean all is good.
was there required to be any follow-up or anything in connection with that vial on the pharmacy's inspection?
Yes,
And what was that?
this investigation.
And as a result of that, did you go back and find any finding against the pharmacy?
That's why we're here.
Well, we're here directly related to Dr. Laura Harris, correct?
Yes,
And not as it relates to Price Harris, correct?
the permit has not been charged.
Okay. So again, isn't it true that in connection with what was found at Price Harris on January 31st, there is no action against the pharmacy?
No,
And you passed the pharmacy.
yes,
And in 2023, the year at issue with these particular prescriptions for January through December, you've listed 4 of those there. In 2023, the pharmacy also passed, is that right?
I was not employed. I don't have the foundation to speak upon that inspection.
Well, did you see the inspection in the evidence that you reviewed?
Yes,
And did you look at the history there as far as that certificate that shows that September 29th, 2023, the pharmacy was in fact inspected and passed?
yes, I did. I inspected the pharmacy's history in total.
Okay. My question was as to 2023, they were no issues then.
Right, yes.
Then, you appeared at Price Harris on January 31st of this year unannounced, is that right?
Yes,
And in connection with that inspection and with the documents that have been provided today, other than, take out the affidavit of Dr. Meredith, other than the affidavit of him, all of those documents were provided by Dr. Harris, is that right?
yes,
And she cooperated immediately on January 31st, is that right?
she did until she didn't. She did until we arrived at an impasse.
Isn't it true that you as the inspector would not have allowed the pharmacy to pass that inspection if the patients or the public were in danger?
Did you repeat that?
Isn't it true that you as the inspector would not have allowed the pharmacy to pass that inspection if the patients or public were in danger?
The definition of a failed inspection,
The yes or no question.
I can't answer it in yes or no. Because I mean, we need to reference the definition of a Class A pharmacy. And until we address that, I can't answer your question.
It's just,
Hold on, you're both arguing with one another. I think it is a yes or no question. You can answer yes or you can no and give an explanation about why it's yes or no.
you would have passed them if patients were in danger.
With certain circumstances,
And you would have passed Price Harris in that inspection if the public were in danger?
no.
Right. Now, the day of the inspection, when the vial was discovered by you, Dr. Harris responded truthfully that that was hers, didn't she?
She responded that it was hers. Whether or not that's truthful, I can't ascertain.
We're here today based on your allegation that it was hers, is that right?
Yes,
And also, on January 31st, did you in fact leave for a couple of hours and then return to the pharmacy?
I did.
And when When you returned to the pharmacy, did you instruct Dr. Harris that she needed to be honest with you, that you had some more questions?
I did.
And at that point, did you want to verify that Dr. Harris had valid e-scripts for all of her controlled substances that she was prescribed?
Yes.
And did you in fact verify that she did?
Yes.
And did you tell her that if that was the case, that that was good for her?
Yes.
And in going through the patient profile, you were able to verify all of the e-scripts that were written in advance of any of those controlled substances for Dr. Harris?
Yes.
In your call to Dr. Meredith, I have a few questions about that. Are you, as an inspector and investigator, required to be neutral?
No.
Okay, so you can be biased one way or the other with the pharmacist that you're investigating?
Can be biased in favor of the public.
My question is, can you maybe I should ask it this way, can you have a bias against a pharmacist when you are investigating them, or should you be neutral?
Should be neutral until facts present themselves otherwise.
Would you agree you should not try to influence witnesses against the pharmacist?
Yes.
And that the investigative process should be fair?
Yes.
And as far as the gathering of evidence, it would not be appropriate to have a personal jab or attack against a pharmacist when talking to witnesses, would it?
No.
And in that conversation that you had with Dr. Meredith, did you hear the part where you said, oh, I think she's in the wrong and I think she had the deer in the headlights look when I was talking to her?
Yes.
And that's certainly, and you even laughed when you commented and gave your personal opinions of Dr. Harris, didn't you?
Did not laugh at my personal opinion.
But you laughed at her, didn't you?
No.
You didn't hear yourself laughing on that phone conversation?
Laugh. I was not laughing at Dr. Harris.
Could you see how it would be perceived that way when you're making comments about her looks during the investigation?
Objection.
Make any
That's
comments
not in
about looks.
testimony.
What's the response to that objection, Ms. Bob?
Oh, sorry, I meant
That's
to
okay.
let you finish. She's already commented that she made and admitted that in that phone call, she made the comment that Dr. Harris had that deer in the headlights look.
So, Ms. Vales, what's the basis of your objection?
And I'll withdraw the objection if she's talking about that comment, but we made no comment about her looks in general,
Okay,
if that's what the
If it's-
question was alluding to. But we admit it's on the tape. You can hear that.
all right, well, if it's a rephrase, if you want to try to answer or ask that question again within the context of Ms. Vales, she's withdrawn her objection, Ms. Brock.
Okay, I don't remember my question at this point. There's been so much.
Well, you're making, and I'm paraphrasing here,
Okay,
were you making fun of her looks? Certainly you can ask her questions about the specific comments she made during the phone call. We all heard it, so you can certainly have at it from that perspective.
would you agree that you made the comment to Dr. Meredith and give your opinion that Dr. Harris had that deer in the headlights look and you laughed about it?
Can you define to me what deer in the headlights look is?
It's a yes or no question. Did you say it and did you laugh?
I said that.
And did you laugh about it?
Yes.
And that would be your personal opinion from when you talked to Dr. Harris.
It would be my observation as an inspector, which yes, would be my personal observation.
in connection with the prescriptions in this particular case, you did not include, I believe, for the actual patient profile, and I will reference you to Exhibit 4, sorry. Your Exhibit 4, in this case, you didn't include the full patient profile for Dr. Harris, is that right?
No, I asked for the profile from 1/1 of 23 to 1/31 of 25, and this is what was provided to me from Dr. Harris. If it is not complete, it was given to me incomplete.
No, my question is, did you include the complete copy of what she provided you?
Yes,
Because the only, right, the only Monjaro prescription field for the patient profile that you have provided in evidence looks to be on March 27th, 2024, unless I'm missing one and I have.
oh, and I can acknowledge that.
Is
So
that
when
right?
this was printed for me and I saw that there was just one Monjaro prescription, that's when I said, can you pull up your profile so I can see that one and find the image for it? And then as we viewed her profile, there was more than one prescription number that is not in this profile, which was also cause for concern.
Okay, well, I have cause for concern too, because in the first set of exhibits from when we came in June of 2025, do you acknowledge that there were several additional pages that did have other Monjaro prescriptions from January?
No,
Do you still have the June exhibits with you?
no,
Because there are pages missing from the patient profile. Are you aware of that?
no, not to my knowledge.
Okay. Then, as far as the pages of Exhibit 5, you do not know whether or not any of those had been reversed or those funds were actually received by the pharmacy. You don't have that information or knowledge. Is that correct?
I do have knowledge of Pioneer enough to know that when it says completed, it has been dispensed and sold.
When is the last time that you used that program?
I personally have never used Pioneer, but I've inspected about 900 pharmacies in the last year, and 40 to 50% of independents use it. So I have a working knowledge.
Okay, but you've never used it?
No,
Okay. And you didn't request or ever determine whether or not those funds were ever received that are referenced in Exhibit 5. Is that correct?
no.
It is incorrect?
I did not acknowledge whether or not the money changed hands.
Okay. And in reviewing those prescriptions, if you're familiar with Monjaro, and I might be mispronouncing that, I've heard it every way. Is that right? Monjaro?
How I
Monjaro?
say it.
Okay. Would you agree that ordinarily it starts at a lower dosage?
Usually, although there are differences for different therapy needs.
Okay. And in looking at this and these prescriptions, it looks like the first one was for 12.5. And then within a few days, there's another one for just 7.5. Is that right?
Yes,
Are you familiar with the fact that a common side effect of this medication is to cause nausea or gastro issues if it's too strong and it might have to be adjusted?
yes.
Also, there was a break after that, after being filled in the May timeframe of 2023, it didn't look like it was then filled for months after that. Is that right?
Didn't show any record of the fillings after May.
So when you were testifying about Dr. Harris's medical records from October of 2023, it would appear that she was not taking Mounjaro during October of 23. Is that right?
No, because there was a subsequent prescription sent in December of 2023 that was, quote, sent in, not verified by Dr. Meredith, but also never filled.
Okay.
So
But if
you would
it's-
think that the therapy would still be current.
Is that a speculation, I guess on your part?
Based on my pharmaceutical knowledge, if a 336-day supply was filled in 5 months, it might be until 6 months later when you needed a new prescription.
Okay. But there's no evidence that anything in December was filled. Is that correct?
Nothing was filled in December.
And the one that I believe is, appears in the record for December is for a much lower dosage. Is that like 5?
It's for the 5, which is mid-range of dosing for this medication.
Does it start at 2.5?
Starts at 2.5.
You said today that this was earlier when you were being questioned by Ms. Fales, you said that this was done within 4 months, but when you talked to Dr. Meredith on the phone, you said to him 5 months.
I
Do you remember
did.
that?
I did.
When you talked to Dr. Harris initially about that, about these prescriptions or her relationship with Dr. Meredith in general, did Dr. Harris inform you that they talk a lot by phone and by text?
She did.
And you don't know Dr. Meredith, do you?
No.
Did you ever practice pharmacy in the Forest City area?
I did work a few shifts in the Forest City area as a floater. Yes.
It's different over in our neck of the woods. Would you acknowledge
It's
that?
different in every neck of the woods.
Right. Without knowing Dr. Meredith personally or his wife Kathy, you wouldn't know if they use foul language when they talk to their friends or not, would you?
No, I would approach them from an objective, fair perspective.
Certainly, the text that Dr. Harris has produced would indicate if they are with Dr. Meredith, and it states at the top of each page, Dr. Meredith, doesn't it?
The text states it, but the Dr. Meredith I talked to is not a blonde female who's pictured.
I understand that, but Dr. Meredith is the actual contact at the top of each of these pages, correct?
It is directly above the suggested contact of Kathy Meredith.
And you don't know, unless you were the one exchanging those texts, who they were with, correct?
I don't.
But certainly, in the event they are with Dr. Meredith, that would confirm what Dr. Harris said, that they talk a lot by text about prescriptions, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't confirm any talk about prescriptions for her.
That's fine, but it would confirm
Yes.
that she communicates with Dr. Meredith by text about prescriptions.
Yes.
And when Dr. Meredith was talking to you, he specifically said that he couldn't go off of his memory, didn't he?
As he pulled up his computer, yes.
And in 2023, during that time frame, You're certainly not testifying that Dr. Meredith couldn't prescribe the Mounjaro to Dr. Harris, are you?
No,
Even without diabetes?
no, he can prescribe it
Right, because it was being used then for weight loss, correct?
off-label, yes.
And was all of your experience during that time frame in working for Walgreens?
Yes.
And your reference to the May 4th, 2023 record of Dr. Meredith, that Dr. Harris was not currently taking Mounjaro. You would acknowledge that Dr. Meredith says he did prescribe it on May 4th, 2023, correct?
Yes.
And just as a matter of clarification, because I'm not sure what you were, I didn't catch exactly what you were referencing about the September 12th text. Were you saying that if that was with someone other than Dr. Meredith?
Did you tell me which exhibit we're speaking about?
Sorry, the text messages.
The one from September 12th.
Yes.
So with it being redacted, I don't know who the patient or who the patient would be that whomever is speaking to Dr. Harris about. But it is authorizing a change to a Schedule II medication. That's what stuck out to me.
Oh, okay. Did you ever ask Dr. Harris if she took these orders or prescriptions by phone? Did you ask her any of that?
Yes.
Okay, and what did she say?
She said, I talked to him on the phone and I talked to him text and da, 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 da. And that's kind of where it stopped.
Okay.
I didn't really I got an answer and I said, can you show me those calls? Can you show me received, sent calls? Can you show me some text that, just one from him that says yes to Mounjaro? I'm not in an inspection I'm trying to figure out how I'm wrong. And I gave that benefit of the doubt. I said, can you show me any of those? Because I'd like to sort it out.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you know in 2025 if the call or phone records would have been available for January of 23?
I'm not an expert on that. I can't say.
Did you subpoena those?
No.
I'll pass the witness.
Sorry, Ms. Reynolds.
I'm jumping the gun. Dr. Tankersley, how important is it as a duty of a pharmacist to have appropriate records?
It's paramount.
And would you say, when you're looking at what Dr. Harris did, does she have appropriate records with regard to these Mounjaro prescriptions?
No,
And why do you say that?
because in the end, 3 of them were never confirmed as written by the provider.
And if she had a text message or any kind of correspondence between herself and Dr. Meredith anywhere that discussed Mounjaro, would we probably not be here today?
We would not be here.
Okay. And let me go back because I think there is some confusion and I think that part of the exhibit, and Ms. Brock is correct, that part of the exhibit 4 did not make it onto the tablet. There's some pages missing. I think we have those from June. We didn't have them on the tablet. So are there other prescriptions for Mounjaro in her patient profile?
May I look at it?
May.
I haven't looked at this copy since June. there are, and again, they're listed by fill, not by prescription number. So if I count the number of fills, it's going to look more exaggerated than it is. But there is one prescription for Monjero 12.5. There's one for Monjero 7.5. That's the same as the 12.5. There's another one for 7.5. And there is another for the 5 milligram. So all the ones that are indicated on that spreadsheet.
And this spreadsheet is,
Exhibit 6.
okay. So based on your review of the entire profile, you pulled out all of the Monjero prescriptions and digested it in a working document for your purposes, which is in Exhibit 6. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And with regard to the pharmacy itself, do we charge Price Harris with any wrongdoing here?
No.
And the concern in this case was the pharmacist or the PIC, Dr. Harris, is that correct?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that the patient at harm that we would be concerned about was herself?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so bottom line, we have one prescription that you could verify in the records.
Yes.
And what date is that prescription?
It was written on May 4th of 2023.
And all of these other prescriptions and fills that we have, they're not prescriptions, fills that we have of the Monjero, it's your contention that those are not legitimate.
All 12 fills of the Monjero occurred prior to the writing of the 5/4/23 prescription.
And so she got, I believe you testified earlier, a year supply of Monjero in what period of time?
336-day supply between January 1st, 23 and the last fill of May 1st, 2023.
All right. And one of the charges is that she is guilty of fraud. Would you consider that to be fraud if those prescriptions are illegitimate and cannot be verified?
Objection is, that goes beyond my cross-examination, and that wasn't asked on direct.
Also probably calls for legal conclusion as well, but what's your response, Ms. Vales?
I'll rephrase.
Uh,
So again, bottom line, you feel like these prescriptions are not legitimate beyond the one from May of 23, correct?
That would be correct.
All right. Anything else you want to add with regard to your investigation that we have not gone over?
No.
Right. No further
Brooke?
questions.
Nothing further.
Board members, any questions? All uncharacteristically silent. Thank you very much for your testimony. Ms. Vales, your next witness.
Call
is-
Dr. John Curley.
He's MIA.
He's not far.
Board members, do you need a short after lunch break? Oh, okay. I am sorry. Do you have questions? Oh, then have at it.
Monjero is a prescription drug, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, prescription drugs are designated by the Food and Drug Administration, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, pursuant to the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act of 1938 and the Durham-Humphrey Amendment of 1951.
Yes, sir.
Now, does the FDA stipulate who can prescribe drugs or just that it has to be by a practitioner?
Must be by a practitioner with
Okay.
scope.
The state then determines who can prescribe? The state of Arkansas?
Yes, sir.
Do pharmacists have prescribing authority in the state of Arkansas?
Yes.
Okay, does that prescribing authority include prescribing Monjero?
No, sir.
So a pharmacist who fills prescriptions purportedly to be passed as being an official prescription, that would not be appropriate pharmacy practice, is that right?
Could you back that one up and repeat that for me
Okay,
again?
so if a pharmacist, if a prescriber who's authorized to prescribe Monjero has to issue a prescription, if one has not been issued, And given that a pharmacist, which Dr. Harris is, if that has been initiated without evidence of a medical prescriber who is authorized to do so, that would not be a legitimate prescription. Is that right?
That would not be a legitimate prescription.
All right, so this whole thing started because a vial of solution was found and you questioned. And as you work through it, it was acknowledged to be Mounjaro and it was hers from some time ago.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so that elicited this whole investigation to
With
start
no
with.
suggestion from me of its identity.
No, that wasn't what it wasn't an implication.
Yes, sir.
So irrespective of whether the prescriber withdrew or changed their affidavit or whatever you would call it, that it's clear that there were 12 prescriptions that were dispensed pursuant to 3 different prescriptions for which there was not a legitimate prescription. Is that right?
At the time of dispensing. Yes, sir.
Okay. All I have.
Any other board members? All right, based on that line of questions from the board, any follow-up from council, Ms. Vales? Ms.
Nothing.
Brock? All right. With that, I think some of the board members need a 10-minute break. We'll go ahead and go off the record for 10 minutes and then we'll get started with the next witness. We are off the record. Next witness.
Well, Dr. John Kirtley. Dr. Kirtley, state your name and title with the Board of Pharmacy.
My name is John Clay Kirtley. I'm the Director of the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy.
How long have you been employed at the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy?
A little over 20 years.
And are you familiar with Dr. Harris? Has Dr. Harris appeared before the board in previous years?
Yes, she has.
Can you tell me what that was for?
Objection as to relevancy and time frame.
Yeah, Ms. Vales, is there something within the four corners of the order and notice of hearing in terms of an allegation relative to her previously appearing in front of the board?
I think it goes to, as far as if the board decides to impose any disciplinary matters, I think they can consider her previous interactions with the board and any previous disciplinary action. It also goes to concerns about that vial that was found in the refrigerator.
I think you're right. However, it has to be alleged in the order and notice of hearing. If she's had prior disciplinary things, you can certainly allege it as a finding of fact in the order and notice of hearing. But if you haven't, I don't think that's fair game.
Okay,
Okay, I'm going to sustain the objection.
all right.
I mean,
And
if it's in there, that's fine, but I haven't read it that
no, it's
closely.
it's not in
Okay.
there. I mean, it would be it would be a record of the board, but
Right.
no.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to, not that you can't list it, because certainly you can certainly list any respondents or any permit holders.
I'll make note of that.
Okay. Otherwise, it's theoretically a due process violation. She
Okay.
doesn't have proper notice of what you're going to allege.
Sure, okay. Then I will rest.
Geez, Director, that was fairly quick. Said your name. All right. Ms. Brock, to you.
Yes,
I assume you're resting subject to rebuttal.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Brock.
thank you. Call Dr. Laura Harris.
Ma'am, why don't you pull that microphone close to you? And if you could situate it towards Ms. Brock, because you're going to be facing her, I'm fairly confident when she's asking you or answering her questions, it would help. Please proceed.
Could you state your name?
Laura Harris.
And Dr. Harris, what is your educational standing or your professional title? Are you a pharmacist?
Doctor of Pharmacy.
And how long have you been a doctor of pharmacy?
Since 2010, 16.
And
You were really soft-spoken, and I know it's
Okay.
difficult. You need to speak up just a little bit more.
About 16 years.
Okay, thank you.
And at the time of the inspection that occurred this year, where were you employed?
At Price Harris Pharmacy.
Were you an owner of Price Harris Pharmacy?
Yes.
How long were you an owner and employed by Price Harris?
About 12 years.
Prior to that, where did you work?
Fred's Pharmacy in Forest City, Arkansas.
The entire time that you have been a pharmacist, has it been in Forest City?
Yes.
And then currently, as we sit here today, you have a coat on, and where are you currently working?
Walmart Pharmacy.
And what is your position at Walmart Pharmacy?
I'm just a staff pharmacist at Walmart Pharmacy in Forest City.
Is Price Harris open at this point?
No.
Could you just briefly, I know it doesn't go into all of the facts of this case, but just briefly, can you tell the board why it's no longer open?
Well, things are tough out there. I've been through a lot this year. I have been through a divorce. I have been through a house fire. Just my nanny and best friend passed away. That takes care of my children and helped me around the house, all of that kind of stuff from cancer. And then reimbursements were pretty terrible, especially towards the end. So we've also had 2 competitors open up nearby, and they were continually taking our business, and it was very stressful, number one, being in charge of something like that. And I would say just the business had come to its end. We were struggling to make it. And so it was time to close.
How many children do you have?
3.
And are they all minors?
Yes,
And who is responsible for their care? Who is,
I am.
I'm gonna object. I'm not sure that's relevant at this point.
well, in response to that, only because of the requested relief in connection with the notice that was out there, I felt like I had to go into a little bit of that.
A little bit. I'm
That's-
gonna overrule the objection, but a little bit.
So do you have custody of the 3 daughters?
Yes.
And in this particular matter, could you tell the ladies and gentlemen on the board today, could you tell them what exactly happened the day of this inspection with the vial in the refrigerator?
Okay. Ms. Vales or Dr. Vales
Doctor,
did.
it's Tankersley.
I'm sorry.
It's my fault. I
Oh.
got you on the wrong name.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Dr. Tankersley came in for a usual inspection. And she did exactly what she said. She found a clear vial of liquid with Monjaro dosing beside it. I told her it was old. It should have been thrown away. She said, "How much can you tell me about this? To be honest with me, the more you tell me, the better off you'll be. Be clear and upfront." So I did that. However, I was shocked when we started looking through some records, and so I probably had a deer in the headlights look and shocking look when we found some like repetitive billing dates. And like a date that you could tell a medication had been billed, ordered, and then when it came in, billed again. Those were reconciled by me. I cleaned up my profile because there were obvious duplications and it was not accurate information. So I can say that. And the prescriptions were not, denoted to paper and scanned in as an image, which I would normally do for myself. I would not just type something in. I was not asked for phone records. However, I was asked for if I had a text, and I didn't have a text regarding this information. This was all discussion verbally. So, there was some cleaning up to do, and then there were no scanned in images from our discussion. And so I probably acted a little nervous, as I should be, considering I'm a pharmacist and I should take better notes, have better records, even for myself. I would like to know that, like if a discussion with the C2 was ever had by text, that he would follow up with an e-script, that kind of thing. I don't think we pushed the line there. I agree that some of his language is not professional. It's not language I would use, but those are some things that I wanted to address to the board.
Okay, just in going back through, specifically on your Monjaro, do you recall taking it?
Yes,
Why did you take it?
for weight loss.
What year did you take it?
2023 through, I think I restarted it in 2024, maybe for a couple of months.
Going back to 2023, do you have any recollection of conversations you had with Dr. Meredith about Monjaro?
Yes, specifically. I mean, he helps hundreds of patients a week. He he okayed something that made a life-changing difference for me. So I specifically remember discussing with him if it was okay to order the dosage that was available at the time and having that conversation along with other conversations about other patients.
Now, Dr. Harris, before the first prescription of Mounjaro, which looks to be on January 1st of 23, before that was done, did you discuss it with Dr. Meredith?
Yes, it had been discussed prior to that Sunday filling.
And how did you discuss it and did he order it?
Yes, by phone. And I was not asked for like a phone history at any point.
Do you have phone records of your phone calls from January of 2023?
Not with me, and I do not have those on hand, no.
Did you have to change phone plans as a part of the divorce?
Yeah.
Do you even have access to the billing from prior to your divorce?
Not that I'm aware of.
In connection with, I want to reference you specifically to exhibit 5 or 6 that has the chart. The chart that was prepared, by Dr. Tankersley as Exhibit 6. Could you go through that chart for the board and specify which ones you did and did not fill?
Yes. It was filled on January 1st of 2023. It was filled on January 27th of 2023. There was a January 30th that was voided and returned. It was filled on February 21st of 2023, March 16th, April 8th, and I believe, and 5/1.
Did you have telephone orders for each one of those fillings?
Yes, and we would discuss commonly which strength was available at the time due to his prescribing practices also.
How long have you been a patient of Dr. Meredith?
I would say since 2022.
And how often do you see him in the clinic? And then also, how often do you talk to him?
We talk regularly about patients and prescriptions only. However, that slowed down a lot. Working at a chain is much different. And then how often I see him just kind of depends on when he tells me I need an office visit or I feel strongly there's something like there might be a spider bite or something like that he needs to see.
Now, there was some discussion by Dr. Tankersley about her opinions on these text messages. Have you pulled up on your phone even today to verify the phone numbers in your phone?
Yes.
Explain to the board today, do you have both Dr. Meredith and his wife, Kathy Meredith, in your phone?
I do. I have both of them as a contact. She and I probably made contact before Dr. Meredith and I even were on that level because she had a lot to do with the patients that they would accept. And, if she would accept someone as a patient or not. But I do not know why they do have phone numbers that are off by 1 digit, which you heard in the recorded phone call. I do not know why, his is a picture of his wife and it says suggests an update to her. I do not know why. But I'm very confident that if we made a phone call to that contact in my phone, that he would answer.
And do you know for sure that the text messages you provided are your text with Dr., I call him Buddy Meredith, but James T. Meredith?
Yes.
And do you have any doubts whatsoever that those could be with Kathy Meredith?
No, she actually, that's not relevant.
And currently, or in dealing with these prescriptions, did you feel, as Dr. Tankersley referenced, did you feel 336 days of Mounjaro in 4 months?
That is what we discovered. Did I get that much? No, what in the world would someone do with that much? But I did clean up records and reverse them. Reverse several claims that were obvious duplicates. And I'm not sure how that even occurs. But I remember going through my profile and cleaning up some claims.
So which ones, did you go through and testify just a few minutes ago, which ones you actually did receive
Yes.
and feel?
Yes, at some point, the 7.5 pens were available, so that is how those were administered.
Did you submit any insurance claims for any prescriptions that were not ordered by Dr. Meredith as it relates to this Mounjaro?
No. Not that he had not verbally spoken with me about and okayed.
When Dr. Tankersley inspected on January 31st, did you give her honest answers?
Yes,
And did you provide her all of the information that you could at that time?
yes,
And do you still have access to the computers to reprint where some of these were cleaned up and corrected?
no,
When Dr. Tankersley came in and questioned you the second time on the 31st, could you tell the board what specifically was discussed in that conversation and communication?
sure. She just came in and asked me to pull up certain prescription numbers, which I did for her, and she would ask to see an image and she would review that and make sure it was accurate. And they were on my profile.
Was the only issue in connection with your Mounjaro prescriptions?
Yes, they were not denoted to paper for an RX image to be shown to her.
And do you acknowledge today to the board that there was an oversight on your part in connection with the phone orders
Huge.
or the verbal orders?
It's huge that it was that it was not on paper and scanned in.
Was any of this done without first discussing with Dr. Meredith and having an order from Dr. Meredith?
No,
Did you suffer any harm as a result of any of the medications?
no,
Or I should say, any of the dosage of Mounjaro? This year, what training and continuing education have you undergone?
several hours, beginning my job at Walmart.
And
Stay.
could you explain the detail and what type of training you've had to go through?
Yes, they're called U-Learns mostly. And fortunately, they have a lot of policies and procedures and, just standard practices in place so that you're not violating a rule of the State Board of Pharmacy. Also, your care. I feel like if a prescription goes through 3 different people and they have to be different people and it can never be your own prescription, that it's also a little bit safer and that I've learned a lot about making sure the safety of patients is, still number one priority, and educating yourself is also important in that area.
As far as your position there now, are you in any management or pharmacist in charge?
No,
Were you transparent and did you give notice to your supervisor about coming before the board today?
yes,
Is there now oversight of you in connection with any of the prescriptions to you individually?
yes.
Could you describe or explain for the board the changes in the prescription for Mounjaro and availability of that in that dosage at the time? Why there were some change ups, in other words, of the prescriptions?
Sure. Sure, it was based on availability. It was based on availability and then discussing that with Dr. Meredith. If it was too high a dose, which is what Dr. Tankersley found, then I had injected pins into a sterile vial and used sterile procedures just to draw that back up at the dosage I thought was appropriate at the time.
And was there a time then that you stopped using Mounjaro in 2023?
Yes.
And when was that?
May.
Right.
End of May.
So as we sit here today, we are dealing with 3 prescriptions for different dosage. Is that correct?
Yes,
Because the one from December of 23 was never filled. Is that right?
that's also correct.
And then did you hear Dr. Tankersley testify about the concern with your billing and this dual billing?
Yes.
Explain for the board how that was actually done and what was billed and collected.
It was actually billed to commercial insurance and then billed to, which it shows, and then billed to a copay card. And then, like I said, when she brought some things to my attention, several 5 prescriptions were completely reversed from that method.
And did you
Completely.
actually fill those 5 prescriptions that were reversed?
No.
Okay.
They were filled, quote, filled in the computer and completed, which you can do with a drop-down box if something looks not completed on someone's profile. But they were not in my possession.
Okay. And to clarify about the September 12th text, you said any discussions that you had about those types of substances with Dr. Meredith, he would follow up with that patient with an actual order?
Was that the Vyvanse Adderall?
Yes.
Yes, he then sent over, a generic Adderall e-script.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
A few questions if I could. So you're currently employed at Walmart, correct?
Yes,
How long have you been employed at Walmart?
almost 2 months.
Did you notify the board that you now work at Walmart?
No,
No, okay. And Price Harris, where you worked, and that has since closed, correct?
yes,
Did you notify the board when it closed?
yes, with the notice of closing that was faxed over. And then I tried to, I got an email from, was it you or Andrea? Stating that you had not received, you had heard that we had closed and you had not received notice of closure. I tried to scan that and email that. I brought it with me today because I got something like it did not go through with the scanner on my phone.
Okay. So it didn't go through then according to what you had.
Not the email that I tried to send you as a PDF.
Did you send the board the permit for Price Harris?
No, I have that with me as well. I did with the fax. When I tried to send it all, I tried to send a notice of closure, a report of controlled substances and a copy of the permit, but I did not mail it in.
Okay,
'Cause I should-
and, what date did Price Harris close?
I think that I dated, the last day we filled prescriptions was on 8/1. And I dated the notice of closure that I sent it on 8/7, I believe. Or 8/13, I'm not sure. 8/13.
And does that show that it went through on 8, when you sent it that time?
I believe so. I can't confirm or deny that.
Okay. So explain to me why just in general, why was this in a vial in the refrigerator?
Because it was a dosage that was unavailable on the market. And I wanted to take a lower dosage, so a higher strength was ordered from the manufacturer and then injected into the vial. And a lower amount was taken than what was in the contents of a full pen.
Did you talk to Dr. Meredith about that?
No. Other doctors in the area were recommending it.
Well, but I asked
Other-
if Dr. Meredith told you to do that.
No, he did
He did
not.
not, okay.
He did not.
And so you said you were shocked and did have that deer in the headlights look when Dr. Tankersley started pulling up the records. Is that a fair statement of your testimony earlier?
Yes,
And how long have you been a pharmacist?
16 years.
And are you aware how important records are in the role of a pharmacist?
Yes, ma'am.
So would it be fair for me to say, records are, if it's not in the record, it didn't happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but so your testimony today, would you agree is different than what the records show?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that?
So your testimony today with regard to the Monjaro is
It's
different than what the records show?
Yes,
Dr. Tankersley's testimony about what the records show, would you agree is correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you said you cleared up your profile and deleted duplications
yes,
because in your mind, those records were wrong.
yes.
Okay. And you submitted your medical records. Is there anything in your medical records to reflect conversations with Dr. Meredith in his records?
That was just, I think,
Well, is there anything in the records,
is there anything in the record
the medical records?
to show that he was
Talk to you.
prescribing me Monjaro?
Yes,
No.
no. Okay, so it's not in his records. And you also testified you don't have phone records to show back then your conversations with Dr. Meredith.
Correct.
Okay. But you do have text where you're texting this phone number about other patients. Is that right?
Yes,
Nothing in the text messages that you brought today are talking about yourself.
I probably have some regarding.
But what we
but
have today,
I'm not sure.
okay,
Can I look, please?
yeah.
Um, Does this make, can I just pick this up?
Oh,
Maybe
so
I don't
you
know if it was
responded-
like connected to something.
The one where I'd burned my face. That is in regards to me, yes.
Okay, but that's not with regard to Monjaro and that,
Correct.
okay. And so are you talking to Mrs. Meredith?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand why that's confusing, why it looks like you're talking or texting with Mrs. Meredith?
I do understand that it looks confusing. I do not understand why would it suggest an update to her unless it's other than their phone numbers are similar. And I do not know why he has a picture of his wife and hers just says KM.
Right. And so if you look at even your text message, if you want to take that as a record of your interactions with Dr. Meredith, there is concern about the Vyvanse prescription that you have in here for another patient. Do you understand that being an issue?
If I understand that it would be an issue if that had been taken as a prescription, but he sent an e-script for it.
Okay,
So I didn't think it was an issue at the time.
okay. But you can see now why that might be problematic? Or you still think that's okay?
I don't know.
Okay, because it
If
looks
that's-
like it's from Mrs. Meredith.
That would be problematic.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look
Not
at
a
the,
prescriber, and I'm aware of that, so.
yeah, so let's look at the affidavits again. And it's my exhibit 7. If you have that, it's also on the tablet.
Which one is it on the tablet, Ms. Bales?
They're marked, you know, with the little stickers that I showed you, but I'll tell you the page number.
Of,
Of the tablet under my exhibits,
of O2?
no, the top folder.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
Up one.
Are you with me? Okay, so are you looking at the affidavit that Dr. Tankersley got from Dr. James Meredith?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and in that enumerated paragraph number 4, does it not say, I did not authorize the filling of the following prescriptions?
Yes, ma'am. It does say that.
And you're saying that's not true?
Yes, ma'am.
He did.
That we had a discussion
Okay, well,
numerous times.
discussion maybe, but would you agree with me? This says not authorized?
It does say that.
Okay, and now let's look at the second affidavit that you presented from Dr. Meredith. And that's on page 5 of the letters.
Okay.
And in that affidavit, it talks about the Mounjaro prescription as well, right? And it says in that third paragraph, I do have a record and I did authorize the Mounjaro prescription written by me via e-script on 5/4/2023. Is that what you read there?
Yes.
Okay, so that's talking about what he's authorized. And in both affidavits, he says he authorized one on May 4th. Is that what you read out of both of those
That
affidavits?
is what I read.
Okay, so you are saying that both of these affidavits are incorrect, that he authorized all of the prescriptions that are in your record.
Yes.
Okay. But we don't have any sort of records of your interactions and his authorizations, correct?
I don't have any authorization in writing of every Mounjaro.
Okay. Do you see why I'm bringing this up, why this is a problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Because records for pharmacists are important, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And they're just not here, are they?
Right.
Okay. And so do you, according to the records, you received a year's supply, roughly a year's supply of Monjaro within a 4 or 5 month period? Is that what the records show when you look at them?
That is what the records show when you look at them.
And you're telling me that's not, the records are wrong again, that's not what happened?
They were corrected.
They were corrected, but what we have here today, so you didn't take
A year's
a
worth.
year's supply in 5 months, did you?
Correct.
No.
I did not.
So why was the vial in the refrigerator and not at home?
Good question.
Is there an answer to the good question?
I should have taken it home and did not.
You did not dispense that to anyone else in the pharmacy?
Absolutely not.
Because there's a Post-it note that looked like, like dispensing instructions to me, but I'm not a pharmacist. What was the Post-it note for?
Post-it note was numerous times, like ways to check what 3 milligrams would be. A conversion of what it would, 5 milligrams would be. Conversions.
Did you ever get multiple doses out of that vial?
I did.
You did. And why would you do that?
I did that for probably 3 doses until it was available.
And when it's in that vial, it's not in the same condition as if you got it in a pen, correct?
Correct.
So is there concern about preservatives and whether or not it's sterile? Do you have any of those? I guess you did not.
I did not have that information.
Okay. What about the preservatives?
I did not have that information.
Okay, so you weren't concerned about whether or not the preservatives were there in that vial or anything like that? No?
Not for the time frame that I used it, no ma'am.
Okay. And so how long was that vial sitting in that refrigerator?
A long time.
How many times do you think you used it?
I stated 3.
The 3?
3 sounds right to me.
And I think you said earlier, Dr. Meredith, if he did authorize these, and we're going to take issue with whether or not he did, he wouldn't have authorized you to put it in the vial like that.
I do not know.
You do not know. Okay. All right, I don't have any further questions.
As it relates to the affidavit of Dr. Meredith, and there was a reference to some letters in our exhibit, did several of the local doctors write letters of recommendation for you?
Nearly anyone I asked.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Nearly anyone I asked, or everyone I asked, I should say.
And did that include Dr. Meredith himself?
Yes.
Even after knowing about this investigation?
Yes.
That's all. One question about that, an initial affidavit of Dr. Meredith, does it say in paragraph number 4, I did not authorize the filling of the following prescriptions dispensed to Laura Harris on the dates below, and then subparagraph Roman numeral 3. Does it reference specifically Monjaro 7.5, prescription written date 5/4/23?
Yes.
And since there was an actual prescription for 5/4/23, then did Dr. Meredith clarify that in that amended and supplemental affidavit?
He did.
Okay. That he did authorize that prescription for 5/4/23, right?
Yes, on 5/4/23.
And he didn't go into anything else about the other prescriptions on the amended one?
Correct.
But he did acknowledge that he regularly talks to you by phone and by text regarding prescriptions.
Yes.
And you have verified that absolutely those texts that we have provided today are texts between you and Dr. James T. Meredith, who also goes by Dr. Buddy Meredith.
Yes.
That's all.
I have a few more if I could. Looking at the affidavit, paragraph 4.3 that you just referred to, where you have the written prescription date of 5/4/23. How do you fill a prescription written on 5/4/23 in January 23, March of 23, and April of 23, and then 5/1 of 23? How does that happen?
You cannot.
Okay.
So there's some of the ones that were canceled.
Okay, and then with regard to the letters, the people that wrote you letters, were they aware of the reason they were writing the letters?
Yes, ma'am.
And they are aware of the allegations that you are here on today?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about your employer? Are they aware of the allegations here today?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have.
Ms. Brock?
Nothing further.
Board members, any questions? Simpson?
As a licensed pharmacist, did you do anything wrong with regard to this matter?
Yes.
What?
The lack of documentation is
Would you be more specific? What documentation?
the lack of each prescription, each strength, the date and time of every single phone call, writing that it was a verbal order. Everything about the lack of documentation for an image.
What about filling the prescription without filling a prescription without documentation of the prescription?
The lack of documentation is the huge
No,
mistake.
I'm not concerned about the lack of documentation. Did you fill a prescription without proper documentation?
There's a different way that you.
Yes.
No.
She's saying that she did documentation wrong, and I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about filling the
So
prescription.
she's saying that she got a verbal order for the prescription, which is valid, but it wasn't documented, which would be invalid.
Okay,
That's what-
then let me ask a second question. What relief are you asking?
Am I asking?
Yes. What would you like us to?
I would
what
like to
action
be
would
able
you
to
like
keep
us
my
to take?
license and practice pharmacy without suspension.
At least with regard to the failure to do proper documentation, are you asking for a second chance?
Yes, sir.
Well, if we were to grant that, would that be the first second chance the board has granted you
In regards
with
to,
regard to any matter?
And see, that's where I would have, I don't know if I can object to the board, but I have to because that's not been alleged.
Yeah, Mr. Simpson, we're back to what we were talking about earlier. Unfortunately,
I
There may have
understand. If she's asking us to give her a second chance, we should have the opportunity to know whether this is the first, second chance or not. I think that's a point she's raised by asking for that.
Mr. Simpson, I would respectfully disagree with you, and here's why. Not that that's not fair game. It is, but it has to be alleged in the order of notice of hearing. Here's the analogy that I can give you. Let's just say that you were pulled over for a ticket, okay? And you appeared before the judge. And then the judge turned around and said, you know, you're here for the ticket, but we get a burglary charge against you as well. That's a due process violation. You haven't been properly notified of what you've been charged with.
I think the board should be entitled to know if this is going to be the first, second chance. That's just that simple.
Well, again, there's a due process requirement associated with that. Now, if you want to get into it, this young lady's probably going to appeal. And she may prevail based on that alone. That's why I'm trying to preserve the record to what's been alleged.
Okay, I've made my point.
Yeah.
You said that there were, well, let me back up. So there appear to be 12 prescriptions that at least were alleged that you filled without a prescription.
That's what it appears, yes.
Okay. And you acknowledge that you actually filled 6 of them.
Yes.
You rattled off 6 dates.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you said that the other 6 were subject to cleanup, that you went back and reversed the claim.
Yes.
When did you reverse those claims?
When it was brought to my attention by Dr. Tankersley.
Okay, so Dr. Tankersley brought it to your attention in January of this year.
Correct.
So 8 months after the fact, and you're saying that you processed those claims, but you never took the drug. And then you turned around and reversed the claims.
Correct.
So you disagree materially with the doctor's affidavit that he said that he issued a prescription on 5/4/23, but he didn't issue any other prescriptions. You take issue with that, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now you said you graduated with your doctor of pharmacy in 2010.
Yes, sir.
Here, did you go to school here in Arkansas?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're familiar with Arkansas law.
Yes, sir.
You took a law class.
Yes, sir.
You passed the state jurisprudence exam.
Yes, sir.
So you know the definition of a prescription is a drug that is required to be written by prescription pursuant to an approved provider.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and in Arkansas, a pharmacist is not authorized to prescribe Mounjaro, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And with all due respect, even though there were tough times and stressful reimbursements were poor, that didn't change the status of Mounjaro being a prescription drug, is that right?
Correct.
So what are the different ways that a prescription can be received for Mounjaro?
Verbally,
Okay,
by fax,
okay.
electronically,
Electronically, like e-script?
e-script.
Okay,
So,
that's pretty
phone.
much it, right?
Right.
All right, so if you get a prescription verbally, is it not the standard to immediately reduce it to writing?
Yes.
Okay. But that didn't happen in this case, apparently, for all the prescriptions that were involved.
Correct.
Okay. Do you routinely fill prescriptions that you take a verbal order on and don't write them down?
No, sir.
So it convenient that it happened for these 3.
Yes, sir.
And apparently, did I understand you to say that there were specific parameters put in place to watch your filling of prescriptions for yourself at Walmart?
Yes.
Why would that be the case?
It is for every pharmacist not to fill their own prescription.
Okay, so this is not peculiar to you. This is.
No,
for-
sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other board members?
I'll just ask, because we keep going back and forth about this affidavit. The only one the doctor admitted to writing is May 4th, and you didn't, it wasn't even filled in your list of 6. So the only one he wrote, you didn't fill.
That's correct. He scrubbed that over. I believe I had an appointment sometime around that time, and he might have thought I needed a refill. As I can't speak to as why he does not have it as an active medication ever. When they look at my listed active medications. And then he would send it.
And the other thing is, I understand the store or pharmacy is closed now, but if it was brought to your attention in January and you at least are saying 6, I guess, were reversed, wouldn't that have shown in a record that you could have already provided because you've been here? Well, we've talked to you once and you're coming for a full hearing today. So wouldn't
I
that have?
should have been able to reprint that.
That may be the one.
No, we don't have anything that shows it was reversed, do we? I'm just talking about the reversals. Because that would eliminate 6 of these if you really reversed them and you had a record that showed it. That's all I'm.
Actually thought I did make a printout, but As you can imagine, after 11 years closing a pharmacy, things have been misplaced and I couldn't find a record where I had fixed it and reprinted it.
You haven't, nobody's seen one, right? I mean,
So kind of related to the cleanup, just curious, as I read the profile, it's, so the cost of the prescription is somewhere around $1,000. I think $1,022 was the reported cost.
Yes, sir.
And apparently the copay card paid $25. Who pays the other 1,000?
My insurance made it like 900 and something. And then the copay card picked up the rest of it.
So your private insurance paid for,
Paid for, yes, these were secondary bills to a copay card. That's why both insurances are listed.
Any other board members? Based on the line of questions on the board, follow up from council, Ms. Vales. Brock.
Only, I know one of the questions was whether or not it was convenient that you didn't just have those three, but it's actually inconvenient that you don't have those, isn't it?
Yes, it's very much inconvenient and it's cost me a lot of time and money.
To your rest.
Yes.
How about closing statements?
Just briefly, again, this is, the records are supposed to reflect what happened. Her testimony is different today than what the records show. There's one prescription here. It's 5/4/2023. I submit to you that we've proven every other one of them are fraudulent, illegal, and unprofessional for Dr. Harris to do. I mean, it's that simple. Dr. Tankersley's assessment of this situation is accurate. Her testimony does not reflect, it's not consistent with the affidavits that Dr. Meredith, the prescriber, put in both affidavits. There is one authorized prescription here. It's 5/4/2023. The rest of them are fraudulent. And I ask that because of this ongoing behavior that she be disciplined appropriately. And not to rule out possible revocation of her license because this is a situation where she, as a pharmacist, cannot be trusted. Her records are incorrect. If this were another patient besides herself, this patient would have been in harm. I guess she's free to harm herself, but there's only one prescription here that's legitimate. 5/4/23, everything else is illegal, and you need to find that way and discipline her appropriately.
Thank you, Ms. Vales. Ms. Brock?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your time and consideration of this on behalf of my client today. I think that from the get-go, from the conversation with Dr. Meredith, that it was clear he said he recalled conversations with her about this. That is consistent with what she says. He just said he couldn't remember the specifics of 2 years before. And as Dr. Harris has testified, she does. It was her life. And she was honest with Dr. Tankersley at that inspection and investigation. She provided all of the documentation. In fact, other than the affidavit, everything before you today was provided by Dr. Harris. She didn't withhold anything. She didn't hide. She acknowledged immediately what it was and that it was hers and what had happened. And her explanation, although it's not what she even says, it was incorrect and she made a mistake by not documenting the verbal order. We do know that the rules and the statutes provide for a verbal order. So the misconduct is not fraud and the misconduct is not dishonesty. She has provided the documentation and provided everything to the board. The misconduct is the failure to document the verbal order. And so for that reason, it doesn't fall with what would even warrant a revocation. And I asked specifically Dr. Tankersley about any harm or any risk to the public, because I think it's important to know and for this board to consider that in 23 and in 25, even the day that this was all discovered, the pharmacy was not cited specifically to this, and that inspection does note, all the comment says that there was a vial and 2 papers in the bottom right door of the fridge to be segregated and not moved. I mean, that's all it says about it. And Dr. Harris has complied with everything asked of her. She has produced everything asked. There was obviously no public harm or harm to any other patient, and no harm to Dr. Harris, as is indicated. She has apologized and been forthright about the fact that she didn't properly document. But out of all of the sanctions available of monetary penalties, a requirement that she complete appropriate education programs or courses, or a requirement that she even have to go through an examination. I've watched I've tried to watch as many of these formal hearings as I could. And what I discovered in looking at these, and I know Dr. Harris, and I'm here on her behalf today, not lightly. It's important. Those previous hearings where I saw revocations or serious penalties like a suspension or even a probation, there was a situation where there was a pharmacist who had for years not even been to a doctor, and she had literally made up all of the prescriptions, and they were for controlled substances and many different things. And I went back and I looked at those sorts of things, and I will say without a shadow of a doubt, Dr. Harris's situation and what this board has been presented with today does not compare to that type of case. It's one medication which was for weight loss. It is not a controlled substance. And there was a follow-up prescription that was an e-script, and she's testified and said she's telling the truth, that she talked to Dr. Meredith. He remembered talking to her. He just didn't know when and remember when. And so it just doesn't compare. There were also some cases where there were revocations. Y'all know way more about it than I do, but from what I watched, there were situations where pharmacists were stealing other patients' meds and lying and saying that that patient got it, and then they were taking it, and then the patient would discover that it wasn't theirs. This is not that situation. And there was not a cover-up, and there was not deceit. There's no evidence of that. It's a dispute over whether or not she took a verbal order or she didn't, and there was no fraud. And so for that reason, I would beg on her behalf and plead with you not to revoke or suspend her license. We're in a small area, as those letters indicate. We're at an underserved area in Eastern Arkansas, and she is much needed. She is employed. There is oversight where she is, and there are penalties that could achieve the goal to correct what has happened where there's improper documentation. And certainly nothing today would indicate or would even substantiate something that would cost her the ability to practice pharmacy and provide for her 3 girls as a single mom who's gone through what she has. That aside, she just hasn't done anything dishonest. She has failed to document, and I appreciate your consideration of that.
Thank you, Ms. Brock. Ms. Vales, any rebuttal?
I would agree with Ms. Brock that we did have a case recently in the last year or two where we did have someone basically writing their own prescriptions like we have here today, and the board suspended her license indefinitely. And granted, there were a lot more prescriptions, but I don't think the message needs to be, well, 12 is okay, but more than 12, we're going to suspend your license. This is the same conduct. And if the board wants to be consistent between these cases, the same penalty needs to happen to this pharmacist as it should every pharmacist that dispenses their own medication without a prescription.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and call the evidentiary part of the record down. Board's going to go ahead, go off the record, deliberate, and once they reach a decision, they're going to announce that decision with a motion and vote. We're off the record. To you, Madam President.
Or do you want to just start a conversation or thank you? Anybody want to throw something out or we started with you last time when you start down with Harold?
Starting with you.
Thank you. I think the charges are approved. I think the charges are approved. I think the question is what the sanction is going to be.
I have some question about, it does seem a little bit of a whose memory serves them best situation with the verbal order, just based on communication. So I have some reservation about that part.
I'll respond to that. That's what medical records are for.
I agree with you.
Medical records don't bear out that there was any Monjero prescription prior to 5/4/23.
And basic premise of a verbal order is to write it down.
I
It's not-
agree, 100%.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that.
Right, because we're taught to reduce to writing on verbal orders.
and we have reduced a record is a record.
And so in support of what Harold said, there are no reduced to writing verbal orders. The medical records don't indicate that a verbal order was given. The doctor's affidavit says I did not prescribe Monjero on any of those days except for 5/4, which was after all the prescriptions had been filled. So, I mean, based on what is available in writing or what's not available in writing as evidenced by the records not showing it, I would agree with Harold that the charges have been proven.
Yeah, I think at worst, it was failure to even get authorization, and at best, it's failure to document. Have to determine, which that is. So, I mean, I agree with Harold's comments about failed to document for sure.
Seems like if they're in a prescription, it's more than failure to document. I mean, they're just in the prescription.
Well, I mean, but that's not her testimony. We have to take her testimony into account too. Or she says she spoke with him, didn't write it down.
I do think it's good to consider that whether it was a repeat thing or that there was no patient harm, like I feel like we need to take that into consideration.
Well, if there were repeat and there were no written verbal prescriptions that were documented on her end, and there's no evidence of any of those verbal prescriptions being authorized on the physician's end, there's just no record that that occurred.
Right.
Agree. And we go to great extent in this state to get prescription authority for pharmacists by going to the legislature, which then issues a statute, which then we promulgate rules. We don't just go out and start prescribing drugs that we want to prescribe that are convenient for us.
Gosh, I guess I'm old school. You get an order, you write it down and then you execute it. And we had prescriptions that were executed without any evidence of any orders.
Yeah, the lack of documentation is an issue. The medical record saying to start the medicine at some point, it was prescribed in the electronic health record, but we don't have the prescription. I think if we were sitting here and we had the prescription, we'd probably still be having the conversation because the doctor would have, if it was written out on a prescription pad, we'd still be having the same conversation that the doctor says he didn't do it. Dr. Harris says she did, but we're missing the documentation as well. So I do think good that it was prescribed at some point by this doctor, although 4 months later, that we have a record of. Uh, But like Dr. Jolly said, we have to give some weight to testimony from pharmacists.
My primary concern is exactly what do you do about this to rectify it? And it seems to me that this didn't impact a patient other than herself, which nonetheless makes it an inappropriate action. But the harm component seems to be missing to me. And I struggle to see that revocational license is appropriate. But I mean, I'm the newest here, so I don't know how you handle something exactly like this and what you say. I mean,
We
there's
don't-
obviously at the very lowest error is she had a conversation with the physician on a Sunday and filled the prescription and didn't reduce that to writing, scan it into the system. That is her version. The doctor's version is, I don't really remember. I didn't write this prescription except for on this one day that I described it. But then that's ignoring the fact that there are obvious conversations that have taken place between them. And I'll bet if you tracked every one of those text message conversations, unless they resulted in an e-script, if they were a verbal call-in prescription, I bet you might find that they lack presence in the medical record also. So I just have some doubt is all I'm saying. I don't know.
So I think we all think something occurred and then it's just revocation or not, and then what do we want to do? And I hadn't really, has anybody said revocation if they're
I am not.
okay, so we passed that one. We know something was done, potentially not correct. Not. What? No, Dr. Richmond, you do.
No, this is not a CE-able
Right.
offense.
Right. So,
The doctor's affidavit does not say, I don't remember. It says, I did not authorize.
I think that was the phone call. He said, I don't remember on the phone.
It says right here in writing with the signature that's notarized.
I know, they were referencing that earlier based on the phone call, not on the affidavit.
I'm just looking at the affidavit that is signed and dated. It says, I did not authorize.
after the phone call.
He also said that someone else prepared that for him and he just signed it.
Well, any affidavit I've ever signed, I generally have not prepared it either.
I think part of it, he didn't remember because he had to go look at his record, which
Mhm.
kind of makes sense. So
Sure.
then after he doesn't remember and he looked at the record, he said he didn't do it. Is the way.
On the records don't show that anything was prescribed until 5/4.
So are we leaning toward a suspension, probation, or what are we looking at? What are the other options that we have?
I mean, I think you have the options of restricting the license to not be a pharmacist in charge. Efficiency, something like that, monetary penalties. Those are things we've done in the past. I don't know what it's.
We need to take it serious, but what we were saying, CE is probably not gonna help you. You have to write the verbal order.
One restriction could be a prohibition on filling prescriptions for herself or her family.
Well, that's already a corporate policy where she works.
Now, that's the corporate policy of where she's working now, not where she may be working tomorrow. That's why I'm thinking about that.
And that's all.
No, I think that just from my perspective, I think revocation is difficult with these facts. I think suspension for a period of time or a financial penalty is obviously going to cause a fair amount of harm and disruption. So, I mean, I think all our choices are essentially poor choices.
I'll throw something out there. 12 months probation, 20 hours of CE on fraud, waste, and abuse, and $1,000 fine for each incident.
How many incidences are there?
Taking into account what she says, 6.
I'll throw this out there, and I don't know it's a fact, no matter who she works for. Probation could cause a possibly, just a thing to talk about or understand.
Actions have consequences.
So what did you suggest again?
12 months probation, 20
How much-
hours
how
of
much-
CE for fraud, waste, and abuse, and $1,000 fine per
How much
incident.
probation?
12 months,
4 months?
12 months.
12. Okay. Thank you.
What would that mean? I don't know what probation, when it's not for the substance abuse stuff, I don't know.
I'm sure different companies have different opinions on who they can hire.
So it just shows up on her.
Well, she's already told them she's here, so she's gonna let her company know it happened.
What is probation? What is probation if it's
Well,
not?
it depends, and that might be where Dr. Richmond could clarify it, but if it's probation, you can't work alone, that's one issue, and that would probably definitely give her issues. Or is it just probation? If you do anything else wrong, you're gonna get more, I mean, what do you want your probation
I guess it
to
was
do?
more of that,
Okay.
that there'll be a 12-month period during which there's no other infractions of any kind that would occur on license. And that give that same period of time to complete a significant number of continuing education on fraud, waste, and abuse.
And that would at least have the advantage if there's a further violation of giving us the fact to consider that this violation had taken place.
I mean, is there something else you want to throw out and see if the others, if y'all can agree?
So this is a question again from my own information. Does a probation have to be reported to PBMs by the employer as that employee they have an employee there who has disciplinary action from the board? Because that's a significant consideration and I think would probably cost you your job.
So I don't think so because it's
Okay.
against her license, not the facility license, but
I
I'm not
believe
an
some of
expert on
the-
that.
I kind of think the recertifications may say anyone employed at the pharmacy have current disciplinary action. I think that, like, does anybody else know? Think you sign those same things? What do you
Yeah, I'm not
think?
familiar with how probation affects that versus disciplinary action. We'd have to go back on the record and see what the board is doing.
Is probation
We gotta
considered?
go
No, you
back.
have to go back on the records.
Oh,
Are there any other
okay, sorry.
questions for board staff or?
Well, I'll just weigh in. I may need some education on this. I don't really know what probation accomplishes personally. CE and a disciplinary fine are fine with me, but I don't oppose probation. I'm just saying I was thinking more of a disciplinary fine, take disciplinary action, structured appropriately. And I'm fine with continued education if we think that's appropriate. I just don't know what probation accomplishes.
Well, Gina, we need to go back on the record to find out.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
Okay.
that's fine. I'm saying I don't know what it really means.
Talk to
Big scheme.
Go back on the record, please.
the director.
Yes, sir.
All right, Director, you have been, okay, we are back on the record. Director, you've been previously sworn. The board members have a question for you related to possible sanctions. I'm not certain who's going to pose the question.
President.
There's been a question raised, I guess, in general, what can a probation do to a person's license? And then how does that affect possibly, does it have to be reported in?
Well, I'd first answer that I think the bigger issue is it sounds like the base decision is generally on whether something is disciplinary or not. If you're already saying that it's disciplinary, that's going to go into the National Data Bank. And that's generally the question I see is if you have disciplinary action, I think that for us, at least, some states treat it differently. If we put someone on probation, it's generally an advance notice that during this time, you basically have like a second watch or you're basically putting them on notice. We do not expect to see you back with anything else during this time period. As far as if that affects different contractual issues or employment issues, I don't know. I know that when we have just like pharmacists in the support group, they all start on probation pretty much, and they are still employable. They're still working in places that have third-party contracts. It's just a different status as part of discipline for us.
So does probation mean discipline?
Yes, I've never seen anyone on probation that it wasn't considered disciplinary status.
Certainly a fine would be discipline.
A disciplinary fine would definitely be disciplinary.
Can there be limits placed on probation from the perspective of, and I say that from the context of other boards and commissions? If you're on probation, say it's 12 months or 2 months, there are boards and commissions that'll say you're on probation, but if there's any infraction during that time period of probation, your license is automatically suspended and you have to appear before the board.
So
Is that something that this board does?
So we have not done that in the realm of probation. It in and of itself, our board has taken that stance when there has been like an addictive disease issue and someone's in the support group, so that if they violate that contract, which would generally be during the probation time period, if it's a 5-year contract, then it's an automatic, forfeiture of your license. But for probation in itself, we have had the board a few times say, during your period of probation, you're going to either have to submit a report or you're subject to a potential random call for drug monitoring, or that you have to complete the other things that the board has assigned to you.
Historically, the board's always had probation within the context of substance abuse, right? Or is that?
No, we've had probation for other things,
Okay.
and it's basically I think you're shining a light on someone and saying, do not mess up during this time period because it's even worse.
I'm sorry, Madam President. I was trying to provide you with a little more context just from my past history.
Perfect. So can we go back off the record just for a moment?
We can go back off the record and we are off the record.
So I think we've had a yes for probation and a no for probation, so let's try to figure out what the motion needs to look. First.
I mean, I think the clarification on probation makes it sound like it fits what the desire is, which is basically, we don't want to see you again and don't be sure you're reducing everything to writing and that you're following all the rules. Is that what?
I feel like that's what we just got to explain.
Right, I will say yes to probation. And then a monetary, you're talking about a monetary fine,
Yes.
okay?
For when they want to throw out, or we want to try to go with that one and see if it.
I'm trying to read Dr. Jolly's face and I'd like to know what you're thinking.
That's a fun game.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like it's really the probation's fine. It's really the disciplinary. So I would be on probation for 12 months. Thousand per, then that's fine too.
And it would be disciplinary, so. I don't think there's an option. Do these things.
5,000 is a flat fee, 6,000 is a. Same time. Well, during the probationary period. Bond be due fiscal year, the probation and the CE coincide. Above and beyond the normal 30 hours of IMS.
No,
Not
No.
over that long period of time.
Oh,
Walmart probably furnish it.
A lot of them require an annual.
I have to do that.
Okay, I believe we'd like to go back on the record.
All right, we are back on the record. The board has reached a decision in this matter. I'll turn it over to the president for a motion and vote, Madam President.
Hey, I'd like to take a motion or get a motion.
In the matter of Laura Harris, PD 11323, case number 2025-012, allegations A1 through A17 being true and charges C1 through C4 having been proven, we've placed the following judgment that Dr. Harris be placed on 12 months probation to commence upon reducing to writing and go for 12 months. That the probationary period, the purpose of which if there are any infraction of any nature against her license during that period of time, that we would call her back in for meeting with the board. During that same 12-month period of time, that there be 20 hours of continuing education specifically focused on fraud, waste, and abuse. That fine would be payable by end of the fiscal year, which would be June 30th of 2026, in the amount of $5,000.
Okay, do I have a second to that? Okay, motion. We have the motion and the second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam President, I'll for the record, the decision of the board in this matter was unanimous. I'll ask staff to reduce it to writing. make certain the respondent, along with Ms. Brock, gets a copy of it, along with an information sheet or cover letter that notifies them of their appeal rights moving forward. Any further questions or comments? Not, I'll call this hearing to a close. You want 5 minutes? Or you want to start?
Let's get going with it if we
One
can.
more case if you all want to push through or.
Guess that we're trying to push through.
5 minutes or?
No, they're ready.
Yep.
We're gonna take a 5 minute break.
They're gonna take a 5 minute break.
Need a 5 minute break.
Okay.
We
We're
will,
back on the record. Next item on the agenda, style before the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy in the matter of Brandon Rice, PD, number 17202. Case number is 2025-051. For the record, my name is Charlie Moulton. I'll be acting as the hearing officer for this proceeding. Ms. Bales, would you be so kind as to identify yourself for the record, please?
Ashley Vales, General Counsel for the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy.
And one of you gentlemen is Mr. Rice. Which one? All right. Mr. Rice, would you be so kind as to identify yourself for the record, please?
My name is Brandon Rice.
All right. And who do you have with you this afternoon?
This is Jeff Fenwick, the owner of my pharmacy.
Okay. Sir, go ahead and pull that microphone towards you. Go ahead and press the button till it turns green. It's very awkward. There you go. It's green. Could you identify yourself for the
I'm Jeff
record?
Fenwick. I've owned National Pharmacy for 36 years.
Okay. Let me go ahead and take judicial notice of the statutes and the rules that are governing this hearing. Arkansas Code annotated section 17-92-101 at sequence. The Arkansas Administrative Procedures Act as well as the rules, as I stated previously. I've got a packet of information here. It is exhibits 1 through 10. Ms. Vales, you want to go ahead and move the admission of 1 through 10. But before you do that, let me ask you this. Mr. Rice, you are not a lawyer, right? Okay. You've read the order and notice of hearing, correct? You're representing yourself here this afternoon. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you've read the order and notice of hearing. I have to ask you, you're ready to proceed this afternoon, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just keep that green light on. It's just easier for you. Because you're representing yourself, and because this is a quasi judicial proceeding, I need to ask you whether or not you have any objection to the admission of exhibits 1 through 10, which is in that packet right in front of you.
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Without objection, 1 through 10 are admitted. Mr. Rice, did you bring anything with you this afternoon that's not contained in this packet that you would like the board to take a look at?
Yes, sir.
What have you got?
I have a protocol that I wrote for our pharmacy for our procedure to administer
Okay.
Testatreat.
So is that right there? Just one page?
One page, yes.
Okay. All right. Ms. Vales, any objection to respondents? Exhibit
I
1.
haven't
Yeah, let her take a look at it, Director. What is it again, Mr. Rice?
It was just a procedure for our pharmacy for how to do Testatreat while we're at the store.
Okay.
For all the pharmacists that I discussed with them.
So this was after all of this happened that
That's
you wanted
correct.
to do this?
Correct.
I think, I don't have any objection, to the document itself, but I may have questions about it.
All right, well, that objection respondents exhibit 1 is admitted. We'll go ahead and make copies. We'll pass that up to the board. All right, have you ever been in an administrative hearing before?
This is my first one.
Very first one. You sat through some of the one, I saw you in the back there, so sat through some of the previous one. So let me explain how the process works. I haven't even read the order and notice of hearing, so I'm not certain. Ms. Vales, who's got the burden on this one? Is it Mr. Rice or you? Okay, so Ms. Vales is going to go first. She's going to call how many witnesses? 1, 2, 1. After she's done questioning that witness, you're going to have the opportunity to ask that witness questions as well, okay? You don't have to if you don't want to. Don't feel compelled to. I'm certainly going to give you that opportunity, but it's not going to be held against you if you don't. I just want to let you know that. After you're done with the questions, it'll be your turn, okay? And you can tell the board your side of the story. I'm gathering that there's going to be some allegations of fact in this packet. It's really easier for you to go through the allegations of fact that are contained in that order of notice of hearing and just say why you agree with them or why you don't agree with them and give an explanation. After you're done with the explanation, Ms. Bales may go ahead and ask you some questions. The board members will probably ask you some questions as well. I don't know if this gentleman is here to testify on your behalf as a character witness or why he's here, But if he's going to give testimony, I'll allow him to go after that. He'll say his side of the story as well. Once all the testimony is in, they go off the record, they deliberate, they reach a decision, they come back on the record and they announce it with a motion and vote, right? If at any time you don't understand what's happening, you get a question, raise your hand, get my attention. My job as the hearing officer is to run the hearing for the benefit of this board, but it's for your benefit as well, particularly since you're representing yourself, all right?
Okay.
And if you think you're not getting a fair shake, I'm not doing my job. So please let me know, okay? All right, we'll just go ahead and swear everybody in right now. Gentlemen, raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you all very much. Ms. Bales, an opening? You're going to wave.
I'm gonna wave.
All right. Ms. Rice, since she's waving, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. It's been my experience with your opening statement. It's going to echo exactly what you're going to tell the board anyway, so you just be saying it twice. Please proceed, Ms. Bales.
Call Dr. Lindsay Tankersley. Dr. Tankersley, state your name and job title here at the Board of Pharmacy.
Lindsay Tankersley, Inspector Investigator at the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy.
Is part of your duties as Inspector Investigator for the Board of Pharmacy to investigate complaints received by the board?
Yes.
And is that what happened in this case with regard to Dr. Rice?
Yes.
And can I turn your attention to Exhibit 4? Is that the complaint we received in this matter?
It is.
Can you summarize for the board members what this complaint was about?
Yes, complaint was submitted January 27th of this year by a mother of a 5-year-old boy who had sought testing and treatment at National Family Pharmacy, was subsequently prescribed oseltamivir, took it, had some adverse reactions to it. If you go to the second page, there's a picture of the boy. He had vomiting so severe that there were busted capillaries around his eyes. There's a picture of him there. Sought emergency care at the hospital where it was determined that most likely what was wrong is got too much, was prescribed too much. So then they returned to pharmacy. There was some sort of mitigation done there, and then complaint arrived on my desk.
All right, and is there a influenza treatment protocol in the state of Arkansas for pharmacists?
So yes, per the standing order that resulted from Act 503 in 2021, there is a protocol that calls forth Appendix A of the protocol to be used for screening and assessment for test to treat for influenza in Arkansas by pharmacists.
And can you identify Exhibit 5 for the record?
So Exhibit 5, pages 1 through 5, the actual protocol. And then Appendix A, pages 1 through 5, would be the screening and assessment evaluation prescribing tool to be used when prescribing per the protocol.
And is this influenza treatment protocol that is Exhibit 5 on the Board of Pharmacy's website?
It is.
Okay. And tell me what you did first as part of your investigation on this complaint.
So as always, I forward the complaint to the pharmacist for a statement and go from there.
And is Exhibit 6 part of what you received from Dr. Rice?
Yes, along with this statement, I also requested original prescription, any test to treat materials that were used to assess, screen, and prescribe to the patient, as well as any copies of prescriptions that were issued and any changes made to the prescription after the dosage was discovered.
And with regard to Exhibit 6,
Mhm.
there parts of Exhibit 6 that are missing information.
Yeah, so Exhibit 6 is the Appendix A, which was used by Dr. Rice to assess the child. Per the protocol, all applicable portions of the appendix should be completed before prescribing to make sure that we meet eligibility criteria in order to prescribe. Appendix A is missing allergies, medication, our primary care provider, current medications, any treatments that had already been tried. And on page 2 of it, there is absolutely none of the physical assessment done. So we're missing blood pressure, respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, temp. There is a positive outcome for influenza per the CLIA wave test. So that was the only thing marked there other than diagnosis, influenza, children and adolescents. And then the third page would be the fairly simple method by which you would prescribe based upon the weight, which here was documented by Dr. Rice to be 25 kilograms. With this protocol, you have possibility of 4 prescribed dosages for children. Under 15 kilograms, if we're doing the 6 milligram per milliliter oseltamivir solution, which that's what we're doing here. Under 15 kilograms, you would do 5 milliliters twice a day for 5 days. Between 15 and 23 kilograms, you do 7.5 milliliters twice a day, 5 days. Between 23 and 40, which is where this patient would be placed, you would do 10 milliliters twice a day for 5 days. Then anything over 40, be 12.5 mils twice a day for 5 days.
And so based on the weight that was identified by Dr. Rice, what portion of the protocol should he have followed when doing the prescription for this?
So the weight would have fallen between the third option of 23 to 40 kilograms, resulting in a dose of 60 milligrams or 10 mils by mouth twice a day for 5 days.
Is that what happened here?
No, Exhibit 7 is the written prescription for the patient where he was prescribed 14.5 milliliters twice a day for 5 days, 14.5 not being any possible dosage that would occur from the protocol if applied correctly.
Okay, and that's also reflected in Exhibit 8?
Yes, that would be the label that was sent out with the original prescription dispensed to the parents.
All right, so do you want, how did, in your review of the records, the error take place? Where did the error take place in this matter?
Simply put, if there's a protocol in place, if you don't follow the parts of the protocol you should follow, it's careless and reckless and you are not going to catch the parts you should. It's with the weight that is listed for the patient, it very clearly fits within the 23 to 40 kilogram dosing. And if you notice, the dosage is not checked in that section either by the pharmacist. So had we just at least completed that part, we may have prescribed the correct dose. So just disregard for protocol and I wouldn't say calculation error because I can't get the calculation for what he got. Just what was prescribed isn't one of the possibilities that would arrive from the protocol.
Okay, and so what happened to this child when he was prescribed the amount that Dr. Rice dispensed?
So mother stated that after the first dose, he became sick and vomited quite violently. And they shook it off as, it'll kind of subside, but then it continued. So they went to the emergency room to seek treatment.
And when did it if you know, did it become apparent that this was a prescription that was too much for this child based on weight?
Mom reported that the nurse said, this is too much for a kid. And 12.5 milliliters would be what an adult would take. So
tell me, can you identify what Exhibit 9 is for the record?
So once error was discovered, a family, which grandmother originally brought the child in, mom, and I think possibly dad as well, brought him back in to address the error. And it appears that the 14.5 was crossed out and 7.5 mils was placed there instead. And that was the correction per the complaint.
Is there anything wrong with making that correction?
Well, if you're doing 7.5 milliliters twice a day, if you fall back on the protocol, that would be for children weighing 15 to 23 kilograms.
And that's not what the reported weight was, correct?
Or what we have. The
Yeah.
reported weight was 25 kilograms.
Okay. And with regard to Dr. Rice's statement, was he cooperative with you? Was there any issue with him and his cooperation with regard to this complaint and your investigation?
No, not at all.
Anything in his statement that you take issue with?
So to me, I had gone through the protocol and tried to assess the error before I got a statement. And when I got the statement, if you read it, it says, when calculating the dose, an error was made, resulting in the patient receiving the incorrect dose. The error occurred during calculation when I regretfully did not divide the dose by 2 for twice daily dosing. If following the protocol, that math never occurs. So that part doesn't make sense to me. As well, so it says the corrected dose would have been approximately half the dose that I prescribed to the patient. 14.5 divided by 2, it does not 7.5 equal. So I just have issue, the math doesn't math.
All right, anything else you want to add with regard to your investigation that we've not gone over?
No.
Ask the witness.
Dr. Rice, do you have any questions that you would like to ask this witness?
No.
All right. Board members, any questions?
I'm sorry, on
Sure.
exhibit 9, I did not write that 7.5. I have not seen the patient since the day that they came in originally.
That's something basically for your statement.
Sorry.
So we're not, no, it's fine, it's fine. This is the opportunity to ask questions of the witness. There are none. Ms. Vales, do you rest?
We rest.
All right. Now, Dr. Rice, why don't you go ahead? Okay, first off, and this is, you don't have to listen to me, but I've been doing this a long time. So if you go through the allegations, right, and just, say whether you agree or disagree with what they've alleged, and then why, that would be very, very helpful. And then you were waving an exhibit around, you get to that at the end, explain to the board what you're talking about with that. So start with the allegations and then you can go to the exhibits. Go ahead, sir.
So allegation 1, I was employed at National Family Pharmacy, yes. 2, yes. 3 is correct. 4 is correct that I did not fill out primary care, medical, or medication allergies, current medications, or treatments tried. Nor did I do the physical assessment. Selecting dose was incorrect, and following 48 hours is not selected either. I was told that the patient weighed 50 to 55 pounds by the grandmother. I never weighed the patient. I did prescribe the 14.5 milliliters BID for 5 days. And that's what was dispensed. Allegation 10, I only know of because of the complaint that was sent to us via email. Same with allegation 11. Allegation 12, I do not believe the parents ever returned to the pharmacy. I think that That is where this, on exhibit 9, the 7.5, I believe, was written by the nurse that they saw at the emergency department and not by anyone at the store. Because I wasn't made aware of this until I came back into work, which was not that day.
Was 10, Brandon.
10.
Same amount.
Patient administered the first dose by his parents, after which he vomited. The parents did not see this problematic until they began vomiting again about an hour later with such intensity that he developed what appeared to be purple rash all over his face. At this point, the parents took him to the hospital to be seen in the ER, fearing an allergic reaction. So what I remember from the case is the grandmother came in with a sick child. I talked to her through the paperwork. I didn't fill out a complete form. I tested the child. The child never left the car. She came back inside and was in and out of the store 3 or 4 different times while I was doing the procedures. Whenever I saw the form for the dosing, I read the milligrams number 10 and I automatically thought capsules. So I went to liquid. At that point, I went to Lexicomp where I got a mg per kg per day. In retrospect, I see that that was for an infant dosing and not for an adult dosing or a child dosing. And that is where I got the number 14.5 milliliters. And that's why it doesn't make any sense, because I made an error there when I read. Since that happened, that is what led to all of these problems. Since then, I've developed this protocol for our store that now we can go through, and made myself much more familiar with the protocol provided by the state. I wasn't fully aware of every step in the process whenever I was administering the test.
You've also done some CE.
Yeah, and I've completed 11 hours of CE so far in medication errors that I brought the certificates with me today, but they're also on my profile. So I believe that's everything.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rice. Ms. Vales, do you have any questions?
Can you go back over, like, you agree with Dr. Tankersley's testimony today?
Yes.
Okay, and so you did make an error.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so explain to me again how you made the error.
I made the error because when I saw on the protocol, I see 30 milligram, 45 milligram, 60 milligram, 70 milligram. I see number 10, and I think capsules immediately because the medication is prescribed in those strengths in capsules and a box of 10.
Okay,
So I went to liquid, and from school, I think when I have liquid, I have weight-based dosing. So I went to Lexicomp to find a weight-based dose that is for infants, not for children.
okay, so, and you heard Dr. Tankersley say that what you prescribed was more than what an adult dose would be.
That's correct.
Is she correct in that?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so what you were looking at
Yeah, it was
informed you about what you were supposed to do.
correct. Yes.
So is it a fair statement that if you'd followed this protocol to the letter, we wouldn't necessarily be here today?
Completely accurate. Yes.
Okay, so you admit that was your
Yeah,
error,
I made the error at that point.
and the math, I think she testified the math wasn't mathing.
Yeah, the math doesn't math either
Okay.
for me. So
Okay. And so you never saw the patient
I have not seen the patient since.
again?
No.
Okay. And you said you learned about it. So tell me when you learned about it and from who? About this
Uh,
problem?
Jeff told me about it when he received the email from Lindsay,
Okay. All right, and
Dr. Tinkers.
yeah, no, that's fine. So, well, maybe it's not. So anything, you've told Dr. Tankersley everything that you wanted to tell her about this? You feel like you presented everything to her that you needed her to know when she did her investigation?
Yes.
Okay, anything else with regard to this error that you want to say for the board?
I'm really upset about the error. I see where I was not following the protocol correctly, and that is why it led to this being an issue. Since then, I have become very familiar with the protocol, and I've discussed the new procedure for our store with all of our pharmacists, Jeff, Sheila, and Danielle. So that's everything.
So this document that you presented, it says test to treat protocol, flu testing, National Family Pharmacy. Why do you feel like you need this when you have one already in place for the whole state and on our website? Why do you feel like you need this in addition to that?
More for workflow and the way, just so our pharmacy knows, because it's not just the pharmacist doing the entire job. So for the rest of staff to be aware, as well as the pharmacist, for our procedure at the store, as just for workflow purposes.
So I don't see anything in here about filling out Appendix A in part of this document that you submitted. Is that part of what you want to require in the procedure?
Yes, the procedure is more just for workflow, like I said. So that's like step one is the appendix.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Board members, any questions for Dr. Rice?
But would I be correct in reading this, that basically at step number 5 is where you would invoke the state protocol?
Correct.
Okay. And potentially is one of the things that we might be asking of you to do. Would you be willing to make that a little more clear at step 5 and specifically refer to the state protocol that's been approved?
Yes, I can change that.
You said that, so is this generally the sum of all the procedures that you have implemented, or are there other things that you have done separate from this?
No, that's generally the sum, correct.
Okay. And if asked, would you be willing to kind of go back and do a, what's the word I'm looking for? No, I'm not CE. Yeah. Well, what? Root cause. Thank you very much. I'm looking for root cause. So would you be willing, if asked, to go back and sort of write up as a background, the root cause as to what you basically have described to us, but in more detail, how you arrived at that, and now how this procedure will help prevent that?
Yes, but I may need examples
Okay.
as far as how to present that to you correctly.
Well, and I would also be concerned that the same type of thing might perhaps happen if it were COVID, if it were strep. I mean, do you offer that type of service? I assume you do.
Yes, we do.
So we would probably be equally concerned that there might be something that might trip up in that as well.
Yes.
And you completed 11 hours of continuing education on medication errors. Have you done any on test to treat?
I could not find any, but I'd be willing to do some on test to treat.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other board members? Follow up, Ms. Ville, based on the questions from the board.
None.
All right. Mr. Rice, you have somebody next to you. I don't know if they're going to be testifying or they're there for moral support. Sir, just there for moral support.
It's here for moral support.
How about a closing statement, Ms. Vales?
I'll just say that, pharmacists having the ability to test and treat patients for influenza and other medical issues is a privilege. And I think it's the board's responsibility to make sure that everybody follows the rules on that. And we've distributed on our website a protocol that makes it easy for everybody to implement and use when doing this test and treat. And I think, when someone messes up, I think you need to hold them accountable for the mess up here. Even though everyone agrees that the error was made, this child did suffer harm, had to go to the emergency room. And so I'd like you to keep that in mind when you determine what should happen in this case.
Thank you, Ms. Mills. Dr. Rush, you get the last say. Anything else you would like to add and tell the board before we shut down the evidentiary part of this record?
No, I feel like I've said everything I had, so.
All right. Well, thank you very much. With that, I will shut down the evidentiary part of the record. Board's going to deliberate off the record. Once they reach a decision, they're going to come back on the record and announce that decision with a motion and a vote. We are off the record.
Okay, anybody think they have a possible motion or you want some discussion between everyone?
Things in mind, but I'm
Okay.
happy to wait for everybody else to comment.
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, I think this is, it's an error when it comes to a pediatric patient population. You got to be real careful. The fact that this is an advanced scope practice for pharmacists to do. It's very important that we get it right, especially early. It's always, we have to get it right, but especially when we begin doing this, because we're going to lose the public's trust if we don't do it right. I hear what you're saying, that you went looking to find an answer, but even though it was right in front of you. So I think you have found that out in your root cause. So I guess my approach to this would be, one, is we ask for a formal write-up of his root cause and assessment of the situation, what he has planned to do, specifically referencing the state treatment protocols, specifically by name and incorporation, and that be done to address all forms of test to treat that you are doing. That while it's admirable that you've already completed 11 hours of CE, I would ask that there are 2 hours, that if you're doing COVID, flu, strep, that you do at least 2 hours of continuing educational test to treat for each of those different, so it's another 6 hours of CE. This total would be over and above what your biennial CE renewal would be. That it be non-disciplinary with a fee of $250 for administrative costs. And that write-up would be submitted to the board.
Go back on the record.
All right, we're back on the record. The board has reached a decision in this matter. Madam President.
At this time, I'd like to take a motion.
Sure, got it clear in my head before I
Okay.
start talking.
Okay.
All right. In the matter of Brandon Rice, PD 17202, case number 2025-051, allegations A1 through A11 being true. A12 is in question by the respondent. And charges C1 through C5 having been proven, that the board find that, or ask that Dr. Rice, that you submit to the board a plan of action that includes a root cause analysis, that you incorporate the information you provided to the board, but you also go back and reference the test to treat protocols that the state has approved, and that you do that for all test to treat that you are undertaking at your pharmacy. That you do an additional 6 hours in continuing education, 2 hours each based on COVID, flu, and strep. And that there be assessed a $250 administrative fee for time spent researching this matter.
Doctor, do you have a time element on those requirements? When is he supposed to complete the report, the CE, and pay the fine?
By the end of the calendar year?
Because it's educational.
Yes. For both. So the education and the fine be paid by 12/31/25.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second, and, all those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
I will note for the record, the decision of the board on this matter was unanimous. I will ask staff to reduce that decision to writing, make certain that the respondent gets a copy of it along with a letter or information sheet that notifies him of his appeal rights. Any further questions, comments? Bills? All right. If not, we're off the record. Thank you all very much.
Or do we have any more discussion though?
We don't have any more discussion. We'll try to send you guys some potential dates to line up. All right.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
I have a motion to dismiss.
Yes.
Okay.